Guardian, we've picked up a high-gain transmission. Origin point is somewhere along the coast, near the Cosmodrome.
What is going on, Guardians? This is the first ever live stream of Cosmodrome Radio. Episode 40 of Cosmodrome Radio is right here, right now, live on twitch.tv/PandaThePaladin here for you people to enjoy. This is going to be amazing. This is the show about Destiny 2 and all about the great things inside of it. And we are going to go straight into our usual thing here that we got going on. Don't forget that you can follow this podcast on TwitX, BirdX, whatever the heck Elon's calling it. Like you can follow us there at Cosmodrome Radio. Follow us on Instagram at Cosmodrome Radio. We're gonna start doing more with Instagram and Threads because we don't know what Elon's gonna be doing. You can check us out with the website at cosmodromeradio.com. If you have any concerns of where to find the recording of this show, you can check it out there, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Audible, Pandora, wherever. You can check it out there, and you'll be able to find links to that there. If you want to cop the merch, we still have the Pride version of the show at not the Pride version of the show, but the Pride version of the shirt that we released in collaboration with our artist Georgia for Pride Month is still available on the shop.cosmodromeradio.com. Make sure you check that out there. All right, with all the pleasantries dealt with there, my name is Panda the Paladin. To my left, we have everybody's favorite Divinity in PvP user. Finally let the Red Lobster go. Wait, what? Can y'all hear me? Y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all have me confused. But I gotta put the freaking screens back. Because I'm over here messing up the whole dang show. Thank you for saying something. Thank you for saying. Oh, all my screens are messed up because Craig is here now. That is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? It's fine. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just do this. We're gonna do this because the first stream's gonna be a little bit weird. I'm gonna do this, and this, and we will recalibrate with Craig on a different time. But to my left, like we were going through, we have everyone's favorite Divinity in PvP user, the bane of Trials of Osiris. We have who finally quit his job at Red Lobster and is going to go work for Jeffrey Bezos soon. We don't know why, but hey, it's a paycheck. We have Alchemy King with us. How you doing, bud?
I'm actually doing pretty good right now.
Heck yeah, love that. All right, below me, the president of the Zevul Wrath fan club, even sporting his wicked implement with him on screen. We love him. He's everyone's favorite shit talking hunter. David, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm glad to be here, as always.
All right. And then we have the undercover Sherpa herself. While Alchemy may use Divinity in PvP, you can count on her to be your div bitch in every raid that you come across. We have Tower Mom. How you doing?
I'm doing good, hon. How are you?
I'm good. You know, this feels good. We want to iron a few kinks and get things going. Once David gets his setup together, I won't be the only person on camera, but we will work on it and we will get things popping. But this is gonna be dope. We're gonna get things going every week here on live. It's gonna be awesome. But from there, hopefully audio sounds good. I know I got some space lo-fi in the background cranking with us. So hopefully that doesn't sound too overpowering with the audio. Hopefully Monk is in the stream and can let me know, but hopefully we sound good. The audio version won't have the lo-fi, which is what matters. But in terms of the grand scale, I think we're doing pretty good. Now, Destiny 2 right now is in a very convoluted place, I'd say.
Let's go. Right into the fire, baby.
Yeah.
Let's jump right in.
And man, it's been a rough few, if it's like we've talked about it on previous episodes, it's been a rough few weeks. Burnout is setting in for a lot of people. And so, hey, what up, Tech Stopper? What's up? Does the stream sound good? Can you let me know if the stream sounds good, please? That way we know what's up. Hey, 1 man 3 pictures. Hey, it's fine. It's fine. Like some people don't want to be on camera. That's totally fine. It's no big deal. It is great. Stream sounds great. That's what matters. But in terms of what's going down, community is burnt out. PvP is upset. Season Scarlet, what is up? Thank you for letting us know. PvP community is upset. Content is getting stale for PvE to a certain extent. Hopefully with this new season we can change that. People are praying to God that the showcase with Final Shape reinvigorates this community. We're hoping for a good raid in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, whatever the heck it is, I don't know. The greater concern with a lot of people is that the community is burnt out and concerned about the future of this game. In walks game director Joe Blackburn yesterday. Well, yesterday and the day before, because he was hinting at it, he posted the word count of the state of the game that he was going to publish. And yesterday, prior to the TWID, or the TWID rather, they posted a long article with the state of the game. And man, oh man, is this controversial. You got some people that got walls up in defense for Bungie. You got some people with pitchforks and torches. And it is a divisive subject across the board. Now, we're gonna jump between these different sections and go straight down, and we're gonna go through it. Now, I want to preface this before we go too deep. I like just from my stance. I think Bungie has some good here, but if we sit down with the magnifying glass, everything that is in this article is stuff we knew that was going to already happen. Everything in this article is stuff we already knew from every other TWID, and I think that's the core issue people have. Is people were looking for answers, and they got none. And that is concerning to them. So let's go ahead and dive in, and before I gave my first impressions. Alchemy, what are your first impressions of this entire situation? That way I'm not just diving in after me. Is Alchemy dead?
I think we'll get back to him. I think he might just muted his mic.
Okay, Davo, what are your opening thoughts in regards to the whole situation? Like opening thoughts before we dive straight in.
Big picture, nutshell thing. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are gonna like Diva. I think that this is great. It's not what people want to hear.
Oh, by no means, no.
Need to hear. Expectations are being set, and a lot of people aren't gonna like it. But this is transparency. As much as you don't like it, it is what it is. Now, Bungie definitely needs to rethink their angle sometimes. I'll be straight there. There are a lot of problems that I see, but I do think the pros outweigh the cons.
Okay. Tower, while leaving what David said in his own bubble, how do you feel about this article? From an overview.
So I'm actually one of the people who, while I understand people's concerns and the upset of the PvP community, especially,
right,
and those 4 of us who consistently play Gambit, I actually have more of a positive reaction to what they're what they brought up. I think the pros outweigh the cons as well. I'm in agreement with Deva. I only have one concern about that, and I'm sure we'll get into that later, but just as an overarching, review, I'm okay. I'm okay with what they're doing. I think a lot of what they're doing is good, like the weapon tuning and the armor changes, especially weapon tuning with exotics. I think that's a great way to go. But yeah, I think the pros outweigh the cons.
Okay, Alchemy, have you returned?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Heyo, he's back.
in a cursory overview, how do you feel about the article as a whole before we dive in?
Like the other two that said, like it's all good stuff, but like in my opinion, coming from a majority time PvP player, like it's gonna fuck with the meta so hard, and like people are still gonna bitch like, hey, we don't have a new map to play on, and like maps are gonna get stale. Because I don't know how many times I've done competitive this season and just played on the same 4 maps in a row.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I will say that I'm viewing this from like every angle possible. I'm trying to like view it from a casual perspective to a PvP perspective because like I'm somebody that like I love Trials of Osiris. I love like hardcore PvE, especially hardcore PvE is where I thrive. But do I go get my guns because I need my guns in PvP? Yes, most definitely. Sometimes stuffing someone with a shotgun is a great time. So I'm trying to view this from every angle, and we're gonna try to just dive in and see what happens. So let's take a look and see what's going down. Okay. So in terms of the article itself, we're not gonna read line by line. That's overkill. It's not worth it. Now, I will say, them saying they're tracking the feedback and they're addressing certain things is good. Now, ritual updates. The big thing with the ritual updates is that they are making it across the like the big change they did with rituals was changing pinnacles once you hit 1810, which is the hard cap, to be exotics. They made it so exotics are what you get in terms of exotic engrams, or the big thing that you get from the ritual playlist, which are Vanguard, Gambit, and Crucible, instead of like a higher tier, because we've stopped increasing the power cap. And Bungie even says further down that they are not increasing the power cap next season. That is a very controversial decision. I think, and what really boggles my brain is they kind of set themselves up as if they were going to raise the power cap, because we have 2 weeks until the raid comes out once the season starts. So it really felt like they were going to make it so we would have to raise the power cap. So to have 2 weeks before a day 1 raid, and for them to not buff the power cap seems a little weird. But cool. People like not having to grind pinnacles every season. By all means, fine, no big deal.
Yeah.
They did bring up that they're trying to bring in new guns. They're trying to like refresh everything. Not only are we getting Warden's Law with a brand new archetype of hand cannons and nightfalls, which is really cool. The new archetype sounds really dope in terms of PvP. We are getting a Void machine gun for Gambit. We're getting a Strand grenade launcher in Trials, and we are getting a solar sniper rifle from Strikes and a stasis submachine gun from Crucible. And the big change they did is you no longer have to worry about waiting till the next season to focus your engrams for those weapons. Like you'll be able to focus them from day 1. If you have like 99 Crucible engrams and you decide you really like that new stasis submachine gun, you can focus nonstop. So that's a great change. I know it was always frustrating, especially when Riptide came out, especially when Out of Bounds came out, them being like, can't do nothing about that. You like you're stuck until next season. That was kind of frustrating. So I like this change a lot. Alchemy, what were you gonna say?
You and the Autumn win last season?
Man, let me tell you, I still haven't got my perfect one. I need to go spend my dang Crucible engrams with the Autumn Wind, because I was like, I love that archetype, that frame that Autumn Wind is. It's the same frame as Time War Inspire, so I love getting that. So I still need to spend some time getting that thing. So that's cool. Does anyone have any like hardcore opinions about the ritual changes?
I see it as a good change because instead of just having to do 5 strikes, 4 Gambit matches, 3 Crucible matches.
Oh, I didn't even mention that. Yeah, like they're making it so like you can do whatever you want from every activity. You don't have to do like Gambit here. Yeah, like I forgot about that. You can do all of your pinnacles in one area. Go ahead, Alchemy.
but also going back to the weapon, I feel like the Gambit weapon is just going to be a reskin of 21% Delirium.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Because it says it's a void LMG, and that's what 21% Delirium was, because that's how we got the perk killing tally in the game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, do you see if it has destabilizing rounds? That it's just going to be mint.
Oh, that would be amazing. Absolutely. A destabilizing 21%. My baby.
Yeah, that would be like the pinnacle of ad clear. But like the new SMG and Crucible, if it's, I hope to God it's not an aggressive frame, because aggressive frames right now, like it, because we already got Immortal, which thank God they're nerfing, and then we have the Rapacious Appetite from this season, with it's basically just a Stasis Immortal. So I hope it's a lightweight frame, because we do not have enough lightweight frames in the primary slot. Because the only one I can think about right off the top of my head is Submission, and that gun's perk pool right now
Well, it's
isn't.
kind of lacking, to be honest.
Yeah,
it is.
P, because like the best PvP role on it right now is probably Perpetual Harmony.
Yeah.
Most people do use, and it's very successful. It's just on a SMG, Harmony isn't the best perk. You more want it on like a
Special
sidearm.
weapon, to be honest.
No, not even a special weapon. You want it on a primary, because
Oh, okay.
Harmony can buff it. So like I remember, so one of the best guns that to get Harmony on is the, oh god, what's the stasis sidearm from Iron Banner called?
Peace Bond?
Yeah, Peace Bond. It's one of the best perks on Peace Bond, especially if you're running a shotgun or a sniper.
Interesting. Okay. So healthy changes. Dava, Tower, do you have any opinions about the ritual changes before we move on?
I'm in agreement with Alchemy. I appreciate the fact that they're allowing us to, mix and match and do what we want in order, and engage with the game in the way that we want in order to do our ritual grind. I appreciate that. Like me personally, I don't touch PvP very often unless it's like mayhem.
Right.
Because of, and we've said this before, the PvP, meta of being sweaty. I'm not a big fan of that. So if I can go in and do like 2 strikes and 2 runs of Gambit, each week, heck yeah. Like
Right.
that's what I normally do anyways. I do my pinnacle grind on Wednesdays because I have the whole day off from work. So I usually don't even touch the game except for like story stuff on Tuesday. On Wednesdays, that's my pinnacle.
That's fair.
And I'm in. So, having to grind 5 strikes, like, I appreciated it when it was 3. I don't like having to do 5 strikes. Because sometimes you'll get a strike that you just don't want, or you'll get a fire team where other people don't like the strike you're in and they'll just drop.
Right.
And then you're kind of stuck. Like, I'm fine with that. I think that's great.
Okay. David, how you feeling?
So my thing is, and this is just like big peanuts, situation is I see that Bungie is trying to address the health of the game by cutting out the amount of time that players have to engage with content that they do not like.
Okay.
This is going to have domino effects later on down the line.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think it's a good decision.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So I have my the majority of my stance on this is gonna be when we talk about Gambit. So I'm not gonna give a whole lot of opinions on this. I think you're right. It's gonna have a domino effect, and like the domino effect is gonna be primarily Gambit. So I'll dive into that there. But go ahead and finish that, then we'll move on.
I think that too. I think it's probably going to be felt most in PvP though,
Yeah,
like
fair
in the
enough.
Crucible.
So like like speaking of PvP, so the big thing that we got from here, I'll go paragraph by paragraph. So they specifically say, thanks to the hard work of multiple teams, they were able to deliver like multiple different things like fire team based matchmaking, like comp changes, trials changes, new rotator playlists, new modes, PvP specific weapon tuning, several quality of life improvements. Which great stuff, great stuff. We're not debating that whatsoever. However, there are three main pain points that PvP players are asking for, which, in my opinion, are not unreasonable. New maps,
Speak on it.
fewer cheaters, in an ever-evolving meta that feels good to compete in. They say that verbatim. Then they go and sit you down, like it's a Full House episode where you're trying to learn the moral of the story, and go, look, I'm sorry, but you're not getting that new bike you wanted, Timmy. You're not getting any more new maps after this next one. Which is pretty much what they say. And it sucks. But no. So what they say is the most feedback they get is just not enough PvP content, specifically new maps. And to set expectations, they're changing their guarantee of like one new map a year to, hey, to our studio is structured to be able to give you weapon tunes, new weapons, like balance changes, stuff like that, new modes and whatnot. But we can't just give you a new map as consistently as we would like, because that takes away resources from things like new story missions, exotic missions, core activities like strikes and whatnot, or like a new destinations and whatnot. Similarly, bringing back reprise maps that never should have been removed from the game, bringing those back and pouring them into the latest version of D2 takes away from those resources as well. And I think this specific paragraph should have been said prior to Disjunction's release. This specific paragraph should have been told to everybody in the PvP community 2 years ago. Because the problem being that people have been hearing and waiting, like, hey, we need new maps. I remember, like at one point there was a counter where we had went like over 100 and some days, or like 150 days almost, without getting any news about a new map, and people were getting frustrated. People were getting upset, and I think then we got this disjunction, but people don't like disjunction because of how unbalanced it is. Hell, even just for control, it's a damn nightmare. So people don't enjoy disjunction. And then it's like, cool, you gave us a new map that we don't enjoy. Where's the next new map? Where's that? And we're having to wait almost a year and a half for that. Because now we're getting next season, but it's been almost a year and a half since the release of Disjunction. And people are like, what's going on? And now they're going, okay, cool, we devoted resources to this, and we're giving you the Dreaming City map that we should have never took away in the first place, the season after that. But then there's nothing else. There's no other there's no other news, no other anything like that. We're giving you a new gunplay focused mode called Checkmate. We're giving you a mode where they're gonna give you every raid and seasonal content relic in a PvP mode like Mayhem and let you go nuts.
But that's great fun.
That's gonna be fun as hell. I will wholeheartedly admit I'm gonna be bashing people with the ball gauges.
Didn't they announce that they were putting out like they were currently developing a new map for like the Vex theme map?
That's the next theme map that's coming next season. That's the new map. I said we're getting a new map next season, and then we're getting the Dreaming City map in season 23. After that, there's no other information whatsoever, and we have no news if we're getting any new maps after that, and that's concerning a lot of people. And Bungie's like, hey, we're giving you new modes.
Why though?
And that's it. And
I don't understand why that's concerning.
I think it's concerning because for a lot of people, it gives them the verification that Bungie cares more about PvE because PvE is where the money's at, and that's their concern. I like that's been the sentiment in a lot of people, like different Discords, a lot of YouTube videos the past few days. Is
really hate
Bungie
to be that guy, but legitimately, that's what the players are.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why everyone really agrees the meat and potatoes of the game is and Glad even said it in his rant video of like a month and a half ago of Bungie and Destiny is a PvE game with PvP attached to it, but at the same time, when people have been asking for new maps for like eons. And there was even a point where there was multiple expansions and seasons where there'd be like 3, 5, 7 new maps. And there's also this collection of maps that were just needlessly taken away with Beyond Light that are just sitting there in a box that they could easily be like, hey, yo, Season of the Plunder, new map. Season of Seraph, new map. Lightfall, new map. Like just bang them back out. And they're not doing that. And people are looking at Eververse like, hey, yo, where's our money going? We're giving you like dollar after dollar every expansion, every season. We should at least see more than just balance changes and sandbox changes. From like that's the perception. And truth be told, I kind of have to like give them a little bit of leeway on that. Not a lot because they asking for a lot too sometimes, but for at least concern because like at least some support that makes sense. But
it's not an unfounded like thing. I don't think that their argument doesn't have any ground to stand on.
That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, like they have a pretty good foundation here.
Yeah, I see where they're coming from, and it is fair, 100%. Yeah. I will say that it is fair to feel like Crucible has been kind of left in like this little time pocket where like Bungie's like we'll get to it when we can, or like as some people said, it's on the back burner compared to PvE, and I feel like that's a fair assessment, 100%. But same time, different token. You have to look at more than just this is what the PvP players want.
Right.
What they want and what they need are two completely separate things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, you want more maps, but you don't want old maps. Because anytime Bungie brings back an old map, they get the same uproar. You giving me back content I've already had.
I don't think so. Like, the Mars map came back recently, and everyone was like, holy shit, thank you for bringing back the Mars map.
Almost nothing good about that map. From any of the prominent streamers.
I've been hearing in PvP community, like people are happy the maps map. They're like, "Hey, you brought a map back. Good job!" Like they're excited about that.
Genuine, response that I've gotten from like a bunch of like prominent like content creators has been the same thing that they say about on the PvE side. Bungie's just reselling us content that we already had.
I see that's a different argument.
This isn't something to praise that they gave us back a map that we used to have. Like they just gave us back something that we already had.
Right.
It already
Which
paid.
is a fair argument to a certain extent. Like we've said previously, them taking half the stuff they took from Beyond Light was outrageous. We should have never seen those crazy like removals. Like even the fact that we're getting 2 Dreaming City maps, one for PvP and one for Gambit back, is outrageous when the Dreaming City is still in the game. You can make a fair argument that the Tangle Shore maps don't need to be in the game anymore because the Tangle Shore is gone. But in terms of the Dreaming City, they should have never left. So it's very odd and very frustrating for people that's going on. And I can see the argument, especially like it's very valid. I think like especially when people were used to getting new maps from Bungie, and now they're like, sorry, dog, no can do. And I think there was one thing Cool Guy said on like today that resonated with me. I don't think Bungie's devs don't give a crap about PvP. I think there's passionate people in the dev community, like in the dev studio, that really want to give you more, that really want to like be there for you and help out. But it's the finance department. It's the finance department saying, "Yo, PvE is where the money's at. Can't help you, dog." It's very much like that. I think that's what the issue is that literally they're like, "Hey, can we go like deal with PvP?" And they're like, "That's not making us money." Crucible what? Shaxx who? Like they don't care. Like I think it's that.
I think that is like a really big portion of the problem. But like I said on your stream yesterday, right? A big issue that I see in the community is that it's not the community as a whole asking for things. It is different sects and factions in the community all fighting for Bungie's attention.
Yeah, it feels like it's very much like a hardcore versus casual, and they're picking the casual child over the hardcore child. I agree with you on that.
That's not it.
Oh, okay.
Like players feel like
PvP.
PvE versus PvP. Fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense.
Versus PvP, casual versus hardcore. Veteran versus new light. It's
a tightrope they gotta walk, and it sucks. I don't envy them. Yeah,
the other side has to lose.
Yeah.
And it's not that one side wants the game to be made better for everybody involved. It's some people are asking for to be able to play the game, while the other side is asking for the game to completely throw them away in their experience solely for our benefit. I've been the biggest advocate of allowing players that put a lot of time into trials to get one adept per account per week.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah,
a bunch of matches.
Yeah.
But hardcore players are like, no, we do not want that, because if you can't earn it, you don't deserve to have it.
Right.
Right.
It's definitely a gamble in that regard.
Exactly. But then you go from that to this, where you start talking about money, and Bungie's a business. So at the end of the day, money talks and bullshit walks.
Yeah.
And PvE is what keeps the lights on.
Yeah.
They can't monetize PvP, which is something to PvP's detriment. But also, another token against them is that not only can they not monetize it, when they focus on it, it literally runs off a lot of the casual and veteran players that just like playing the PvE side of the game end up leaving.
Yeah.
The people that pay to play the game end up leaving when the hardcore sweats get their way in Crucible.
Yeah.
And that is bad for the game. I understand that hardcore players want a sandbox where they can thrive and have fun. But if your sandbox does not include your little brother who wants to come to the skate park too,
I get it. I get
you're not gonna win.
And Tower, how you feel about PvP situation? Before we die, we gotta keep the ball rolling. So I get where you're at.
For hours about the whole PvP situation.
Yeah, because we've gone back and forth about that multiple times on the show. So it's more of I get what you're saying. The core issue seems to be PvE is where the money's at, so they're gonna focus on PvE, and that sucks. And I see the concerns of the PvP community, and their concerns are very valid. So I can understand why they feel abandoned by Bungie.
Absolutely. But I can tell you there is one thing that specifically shows that they are not being abandoned by Bungie, and that Bungie has been listening. You know what it is? The COD players finally getting their kinetic weapons only mode.
Yeah, them get that's fair. That's fair.
Weapons only
Checkmate
mode.
might be the thing that gives them that answer. Yeah, you're right.
It is exactly what the freaking, the subsect of the PvP community
they want less focus on abilities and more focus on primary gunplay.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, Bungie is listening. But all the people, and I've seen this on Twitter so much in the last couple of days, all the people who are pissed off because they feel like they're being abandoned by Bungie have not said a single thing about Checkmate. Not a single thing. Bungie is giving them exactly what they want. They're saying, here, this is a silver platter for you guys. You want to be able to play with just your kinetic weapons, just your primaries? Here you go. Enjoy. Have fun. And even the players who have been demanding that type of play for years are completely ignoring it. Like, guys, you're getting this. This is your silver platter. Go have fun. You're gonna enjoy it.
But it's not enough.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that. I think it specifically is they're like, hey, yo, that's cool. But like, what about this other stack of complaints we've been asking for a hot minute? I think it's that. I think it's more so that they're like, hey, yo, cool. We appreciate you. I think it's because like the good things are falling on deaf ears because they're like people are upset that the other concerns aren't looking at. It's very much like, hey, yo, why aren't you doing this? Like, yeah, cool, mode's cool, party mode cool, because like the Relic is very much a party mode, like man. And they're like, like, because I've watched a couple different PvP people's videos about it. Like, I watched Cool Guys, I watched True Vanguard's video. They're very much like, that's dope. We appreciate you for that, but that's not the concern the community has. We have enough modes. We have Mayhem, we have Rumble, we have Elimination, whatever the heck else. We have those. We're Gucci. The problem is over here. We're asking for this. We're asking for maps, and we're asking for balance changes more often. And you're not doing that. And that's where their concern is.
So the thing is that, like, I get that, but also at the same time, there's a very vocal sect of the PvP community that is demanding that Bungie turn PvP completely into what they're wanting to do for Checkmate. And that's just not feasible.
Yeah.
Like, there are too many people there who enjoy trials, who enjoy control, who enjoy mayhem.
They want it to be COD, and it's like, why don't you go play COD at that point? Like they enjoy I think it's like they enjoy the gunplay.
Yeah, and that's absolutely valid that they enjoy the gunplay, and that's why I feel like Checkmate is that silver platter moment for them. You want to just do the gunplay here. Go play Checkmate, enjoy yourself. You can play Checkmate for hours and hours and days. Enjoy it. That gets you your space magic-y but COD fix at the same time.
Yeah.
Have fun. Now that you're doing that, please stop, demanding that Bungie change up everything else in PvP so that way those of us who want to engage with PvP but can't because of you guys who only want the gunplay and sweat out everything with weapons only can actually come in and engage with things like trials, like control, like competitive. Like, I don't even touch competitive.
I think the issue with that scenario, as great as that would be, I think the issue is if Bungie like doesn't see results from the labs next season, and like hypothetical that they like see great results from it in the labs, and they make it a mode like it's a rotating mode of what it's gonna be. People are gonna be like, hey, okay, cool. Now make that a permanent thing, like permanent 3v3, permanent 6v6, and then they're gonna want rewards only for that. And that's going to become a situation and crap like that and whatnot. That's going to be a whole other like dynamic. I think it's a slippery slope, and Bungie's trying to like gauge the community a little bit. And
I'm gonna take it a step further.
Okay,
take it a step further.
Speak on it.
The thing is you have to learn that positive reinforcement is better than negative reinforcement, right? The PvP community is so hell-bent on negative reinforcement, saying, Bungie, we don't like this. Bungie, this is what we don't like, instead of showing Bungie with numbers, tangible information that this is what we want. So,
like I said the other day, tangible engagement.
Exactly. Like, if you guys want game modes like Checkmate to become a new standard, look, go and play the fucking buttons off of the Crucible Labs next season. That will
also,
show
I think another concern
that's
is like
what you want,
right? And I think another concern is Bungie kind of has a problem with Crucible Labs where they just shove it in the corner of the left hand side of the screen. I think if Bungie gave people specific rewards for only playing labs, people would care. But they're not gonna. They're not gonna. because if you do three trial lab matches, it's the same thing if you play 6v6. You get an exotic. If you got like an emblem, like an emblem that had like a beaker and test tube or some shit for playing a certain amount of lab matches, people would go nuts.
Have to go and play. If you have to be goated to go and do something like that to test out the new stuff, like, is it even worth it at that point?
To a certain extent, I would say so. Yeah.
You like it, or are you playing it because you want the nice shiny thing that comes along with it? And I take it a step further to say that is like the opposite of what Bungie is trying to do now, with making sure that players can play the game the way they want without feeling forced into certain spaces that they don't want to engage with.
Well, we're gonna get to that too. We're gonna get to that. So like the other cool thing is they announced that they're gonna have a new comp weapon with they're gonna have a new Iron Banner weapon and a new Iron Banner mode in season 23, and they even tell you, hey, it's gonna be a Hake aggressive frame strand pulse rifle, which for me that's like, why are you waiting until season 23? You just gave us the frame, the element, the manufacturer. Why not just make it next season? Like it feels really weird. They did the same thing with the hand cannon a few weeks like last season. Where they're like, hey, here's the whole picture of it, and then they're like,
they can't speed up that process. It's pre-programmed into the release.
That's fair. It just feels a little odd the way they're like, hey, here's the whole make model of the car, but you can't have the car till next year. Like, it just feels weird.
Yeah. I mean, but you also gotta remember that once that goes into the rotation, the other weapon.
Yeah, Mercurial Overreach rotates out, so this is kind of like a warning for them. To be honest,
exactly.
That's fair. Okay, so Vanguard playlist. We are getting medals similar to Guardian games as rewards for doing content. There'll be rewards getting from Vanguard Ops and Nightfalls. They brought them in with Guardian games. They were a success, and they're going to be going
ADHD
here.
loves you, Bungie. Thank you.
Yes.
The medals will continue to have scoring, allow players to attain higher scores and reputation multipliers by performing unique actions. There won't be anything like finishers though, so don't forget about that. And it's worth noting that some medals will remain Guardian Games exclusives and not be in Vanguard playlists. So like that's why the finishers one won't be included. So that's only going to be a Guardian Games thing, and there will be active
ones too.
What'd you say?
I said I think some of the GM ones, are going to be Guardian Games specific as well.
Right. All right. Now, they did say that they are going to make more battlegrounds be GMs. I will say I'm excited for I'm excited for when Season of Defiant Battlegrounds become GMs, because the Defiant Battlegrounds were some of the most fun I've had in a long time. I will say that. Like, that's controversial. That's controversial. I don't care. Defiant Battlegrounds were my shit.
We'll give me my conquerors then.
Like, can you imagine having to do some of those boss rules on GM?
I'm excited about it.
Oh my god, it's
they'll have to balance it. It's gonna be finally like that'll be like controversial, like bubble and well meta for GMs to survive in certain sectors. But like it's possible. It'll be a good time. All right. So in terms of and then from there, now here's where shit's gonna get dicey. Let's talk about Gambit.
My baby.
Boy. Tower, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm surprised you're not pissed. I am so surprised that you're not ready to cut somebody.
I am not, because I appreciate the fact that they're bringing back a very well beloved
They're
map.
bringing back Cathedral of Scars.
Yes, the Dreaming City map is gorgeous. It's my favorite, where I got my dredging on, so it holds some place in my heart.
Okay, so in terms of the situation, real quick, they say, unfortunately, they had made some changes with Witch Queen, where they made Primevals a little bit more challenging. They changed up invasion spawns. They made some changes to rewards, and they made it so heavy ammo crates spawned at the end of each section of Gambit. Because you guys didn't go play more Gambit with those changes, we're gonna stop supporting Gambit, except for we're gonna throw Lucid Hive and Shadow Cabal and give you back an old map later in the year of Final Shape. Not at Final Shape. Later in the timeline of Final Shape. And that's concerning to me. Because it feels like a chicken before the egg situation. And Mylan kind of like put in the best he put in the best words for it. Because I kind of, me and David were talking about it yesterday on my stream, but this was where it really honed in. Mylan said, I don't think Bungie is looking at the data and viewing the nuance of the data. Looking at, hey, this data says people aren't playing Gambit. Why aren't people playing Gambit? Well,
I can speak on that.
Go for it.
I can absolutely tell you why people aren't playing Gambit. It's because people go into freelance expecting to have a team who knows what they're doing, a team of fellow blueberries who knows what they're doing, and those blueberries don't know how to play the game. Either they turn off their dialogue, they turn off their subtitles, or they just don't care. It is easier as a solo player right now to go into the Gambit playlist as a solo player than it is, and win consistently, than it is to go into the freelance playlist.
You're right.
And consistently. Now, I am disappointed in certain things about what they're doing with Gambit. I'm not like livid. That's actually something else that I'm upset about. That has made me quite livid. But I am disappointed. I wanted something that would be a little bit more engaging, and it does feel like Bungie is like you quoted Matt saying, is not, it feels like they're not reading the nuance. If they got rid of the freelance playlist, which was supposed to be kind of a lab thing anyways, if they get rid of the freelance playlist, more people would engage with Gambit.
So it's partially that. I would say it's partially the freelance. I agree with you wholeheartedly with freelance, but it's also things like we're fighting the same Fallen, Cabal, Vex, Scorn. We're fighting the same.
On the same.
The four same enemy types on the 3 Mars, Titan, and Nessus, and EDZ, the 4 different maps that we've been allotted, and it's the same rotation, no meta shifts, because it doesn't have its own sandbox. That's a big factor for a lot. That's a big factor for a lot of people, and they're using Gambit as a scapegoat to make changes to other weapons, Gjallarhorn, and. But they're not actively supporting Gambit. And they're like, hey, we gave you ammo crates. We changed spawns. That way spawns aren't broken. Are you going to play Gambit more?
Still broken. They didn't really change spawns. The spawns are still broken. There will still be invaders spawning in with the
enemies.
With the all the time.
Yep.
All the time. It's happened to me where I was going to invade and I spawned in on the team's envoys and I was like, what the fuck? I'm not supposed to be here. Really not supposed to be here. It's supposed to be a challenge for me to kill this team. Right. You don't just hand that shit to me, Bungie. Come on now.
So, Alchemy, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, what were you gonna say?
They honestly did Gambit once they got rid of Gambit Prime, because that's when the most people were playing Gambit, was during Gambit Prime and all that, because that's when Gambit was actually enjoyable and you had, because during Season of the Drifter, you had whole armor sets dedicated to roles. If they brought
that leads into my crackpot theory, but I'm gonna let Alchemy finish.
I'm gonna say something after this. This is going to be a very unpopular opinion.
I'll go ahead and finish.
But if they brought those back, I honestly think people would start coming back to Gambit because, like, it would give people something to do. Like, hey, you invaded a lot. Here's a part of the invader Gambit armor.
They randomly gave it with Xur like 3 months ago, and it was very out of pocket. They're like, "Hey, here's the Gambit red armor from when we tried to make Gambit a esport." And like so here, have that. And it's like, that's my theory. So here's my crackpot theory. When Forsaken first came out, Bungie was still with Activision. When they were pumping all that shit out, they had multiple studios collaborating because they were with Activision. I think a Activision Blizzard dev came in and was like, "Hey, Bungie, we want you to come up with an esport level activity in Destiny 2. Can you do it?" They're like, sure. Okay. We could try. And they did it. They actually came up with Hunt Showdown before Hunt Showdown came out. They had a PvEVP mode that was successful. People enjoyed it. And they brought in a new character like Drifter, did some cool stuff with that. Drifter caught on with the fan base. But when Bungie left Activision, they stopped caring about Gambit. They created Gambit Prime while they were still at Activision, or when Activision was still funding them, because they were looking to make it an esport. There was a whole campaign where you had like your invader, your moat gatherer, your ad killer. Like there was a whole thing. Like it really felt like this was going to be an esport. And then they like Beyond Light came out. They threw their hands up. They were like, "Bye, we don't care anymore." Dreaming City map gone. Tangled Shore map gone. Like it felt really weird. They merged Gambit Prime and Gambit into one mode and just raised their hands and was out. And I really feel like Gambit is like Cousin Oliver from the Brady Bunch. It was a requirement by he's Justin from Power Rangers Turbo. It was a studio requirement, and they didn't want to do it, but they did it, and now they have to put up with it. That's what it feels like. And I'm not
gonna say you're wrong.
Okay, go on.
But I do think that I don't think that that's like per se exactly what the motive was. Like if you look back to that point in Destiny, you know, when Gambit Prime and Gambit were kind of merged into one.
Beyond Light, yeah.
Yeah. And they sunset all that stuff. My understanding of what happened is they did the same thing to Gambit that they did to Crucible. They took it, they broke it down to the bare essentials of what will make this playable so that we no longer have to micromanage it.
That's fair.
And they took it and they broke it down because you remember back then you had Gambit and then Gambit Prime. So they merged the player bases. They made it one thing. They shortened it down because people didn't like the 2-round system and whatnot. They shortened it down and they made it playable to where they could leave it there and it'd be fine until they could get back to it, right? And so they could go work on other stuff. And they did the same thing to Crucible, but
a little bit,
people are more vocal about their want for Crucible than they are for their want for Gambit. And that was what I was going to say when Alchemy was talking, is that Gambit the community has made Gambit a catch-22. There's a lot of nuance of why players no longer want to engage with Gambit. And a lot of it is just, what's the point? Other than the pinnacle at the end of the 3 matches, there's really not anything to do in Gambit except for the players that like it. And so
that was gonna be my other thing with that too, is you can tell, but Gambit kind of feels like the Cousin Oliver a little bit because, or Justin from Turbo, because once the next season or the next thing comes out, they stop acknowledging it. Similar here, where when Season of the Lost, I believe it was, they introduced seasonal challenges. Seasonal challenges for the past 6 seasons have been you are required to play Gambit multiple weeks bank a certain amount of motes, kill a certain amount of prime evils, etc., etc. That way you can earn the 4,000 some bright dust.
It's 3 Gambit, 3 Crucible, and 3 Strike.
Well, no, I'm not talking about Pinnacle. I'm talking about like the seasonal challenges. The seasonal challenges specifically.
There's 3 seasonal challenges.
Okay, cool. But so like they introduced that, and they're like, hey, you're not like even if you skip your Pinnacle, you do every other Pinnacle but Gambit. If you want that 4,000 bright dust, you have to literally force yourself to go into Gambit if you want that. And that's where the drop off that already kind of occurred with Beyond Light and Witch Queen got worse. Even when they were like, "Hey, we're gonna give you ammo boxes for Witch Queen, and we're gonna try to fix the spawns," it still went down. And they're very much in a chicken before the egg situation where it's like, "Hey, we're not gonna support this anymore because you're not playing it." Well, you didn't support it, so we didn't play it. And it's like, it's a chicken before the egg situation. And it's going in a circle, and it's like,
I will say that
that's where I think that the issue is like they're not looking at the nuance of the data, and it's a problem.
Yeah.
But I also think that the community is not looking at the nuance of the solution. Like, and I will speak on that. Let me speak on it. Right? Let me cook real quick. I'm about to chef it up.
Right? I'm a little concerned about that, but go ahead, speak on it.
So the nuance of the solution is that Bungie allocates a lot of time, effort, teams, and resources toward fixing Gambit and making it a viable thing that players not only want to engage with, but enjoy playing, right? And I'm going to be honest with you. 100% my hands are off the wheel. This is not me as a Destiny veteran or player. Okay. This is just pure observation.
Okay.
It would be easier for Bungie to just say, look, you guys don't want to play this. It's clear to us that you don't want to play it. Or the vast majority of you do not want to play it.
Right.
But more of you are complaining about Crucible. So it makes more sense to us to stop working on Gambit, take those resources, and throw them in the Crucible resource pile so that we can pump out more Crucible stuff for you more often. But that means no more Gambit attention. And I'm be honest with you. Spade is spade. The Gambit community has not been raising hell like the Crucible.
I think it's because they're not motivated. Like hey yo, for the sake of the argument,
it is what it is.
I'm gonna this is the meme that has been ravaging the community. I'm gonna put this on screen because I want to make this a point. This meme has been ravaging the community for so long. And I think it very much stands out with this situation where I'm not gonna like make this like kind of centered between all of us. Like this meme right here, where it's like, hey yo, Bungie cares about Vanguard, Crucible's drowning, Gambit's dead. This is how the community has felt in terms of the core playlist for years now. And that's a problem. And I don't think Bungie understands that. And they're like, they're doing a chicken before the egg thing with Gambit. They're doing like they're like giving you a little bit of support with Crucible. They're like, oh yeah, you can swim by yourself, you can function on your own. And they're like lifting Vanguard and raids and dungeons into the sky. And that's how this really feels. And
I'm gonna give you some pushback on that, right?
Okay.
This is coming from my veteran, like military experience and knowledge, right? So, you know, and anybody who's in EMT or is in like medicine, as like doctors and nurses, they'll probably tell you the same thing, right? If you were to come up to people, right, in a like mass casualty event or like an event where a lot of people got hurt, right?
I see where you're going with this.
Are you going to run to the guy who got cut in half, or are you going to look at him and be like, "You're cut in half. I can't really help you," or are you going to go to the person who's missing an arm?
It's like that major. It's like a major pain where he's like, "Hey, yo, I'm bleeding out. I'll give you some pain to help you not think about that pain." Crack.
Exactly, and that's where we are. It's the catch-22. Crucible is the easier one of Gambit and Crucible to fix. It's easier. There's clearly more support for it. You know, it makes sense that they focus the resources on fixing Crucible. Right. Crucible players will stop harassing the Bungie devs, so that fixes another problem. So leaving Gambit in this state, I hate to say it. As somebody who played Gambit to get into playing Crucible and really getting into the feel of it, I am heartbroken. I really am.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I can genuinely say, as a player, as somebody objectively watching what's going on in the community, it makes far more sense for Bungie to say, look, we've lost this war. The war with Gambit's done.
But see, if they were willing to admit the war was done, I think it would be more reasonable to be like, hey, yo, next week or like in 2 weeks, we're killing Jermaine. We're killing Jermaine. Gambit's gone, and be done with it. Like literally, or at the very least, the 9 comes in and wipes out Jermaine's ship, and he's stranded at the tower. He's gonna help Shaxx with Crucible and be done with it. Or he finally like says, "Oh, I'm actually a Hunter Vanguard, and he's the new Hunter Vanguard now." Like, because obviously, like, because everyone's always said, "Oh, like Drifter doesn't have actual like class. He's just a Guardian, whatever." Like, give him an official class. Let him sit over in the corner and let him be the Hunter Vanguard and be done with it. Like, if Bungie was straight up like, hey, yo, we don't want Gambit anymore, they would blow up the derelict and be done with it. But they're not doing that. They're like, hey, yo, we're going to let this die in the corner. And it's like,
that's what this is, though. Is I'm saying, like, look, we no longer, like, fighting this battle, we're done. Like, look, we're not even going to leave you guys with the anticipation that we're going to fix it. Like, this is us putting our hat down and saying we're done. But if you want, you can still play it. It's still here. If you don't want to play it no more, we understand.
Hold on, like David Tower said something. What'd you say, Tower?
I said they might as well make him a seasonal vendor.
Yeah, like honestly, not even like a seasonal vendor. Like, just make him a standard vendor. Like, yo, big brain. Kill Hawthorne. Okay. Drifter runs clans. Be done with it. Like,
there you go. There you
kill
go.
Hawthorne. Like, say Hawthorne died, like in like casualty of war. Like, because I've been saying for aeons now that fucking Holiday shouldn't have died. It should have been Hawthorne. That's been my fucking thing. I've been saying for a hot minute is that Holiday shouldn't have died. It should have been Hawthorne. But
leave Hawthorne alone. She in her corner. Let her have her corner.
Okay. You were gonna say something. What were you gonna say?
But here's the thing: if they relegate more sources to PvE and PvP, Gambit, since it's all one same sandbox, if they delegate more focus on PvE and PvP, Gambit's going to be directly affected by that because the changes they make in PvP will affect the invasions like Immortal, Cloud Strike.
Yeah, that's very true.
With that change in PvP, that will also be changed in invasions because, and say if like Rockets, not Rockets, say if Linear's got like a teensy wincy buff, that would also affect
Menace.
Yeah. Like that will also affect Gambit because if they do that for PvE, that's affecting the ad and boss damage.
I think what Alchemy's getting at is like if Bungie leaves Gambit to die in the corner, but they buff everything else in PvP and PvE, or nerf things in PvE and PvP, we're gonna have another situation with Gambit where they're like, "Hey, Gjallarhorn's a problem," and it's like, Gjallarhorn's not a problem in raids. Gjallarhorn's not a problem in PvP. Why are you bitching? We don't care about you anymore. I think that's what Alchemy's getting at.
That is
what I'm saying.
A bad outcome. I'll agree, but there's at this point, balancing for Gambit has pissed off both sides.
Yeah.
At this point. So
I think if Bungie would have took Gambit seriously, even if they hated it, like my crackpot theory, if Bungie would have took like Gambit seriously, gave it its own sandbox team, and been like, "Hey, yo, you're over the corner, do your thing." The Gallahorn nerf wouldn't have happened. Like Gambit would have thrived in its own corner and been done with it. So that's what I think there. But they didn't do that.
It's been a long fought battle to get Bungie to separate the PvP and the PvE from each other. So getting them to separate even more for Gambit, that was an uphill battle from an orbital fucking angle. You are not going nowhere with that.
You right. Now,
Armor.
Armor is the other topic that's going to be diversive in this podcast. So, Bungie says, a long time ago, we shared a plan to address concerns about reward balancing. Players have pointed out we didn't release a new armor set in the Ritual playlist, Vanguard, Crucible, Gambit, with Lightfall like we previously said we was going to. And they were justifiably right. So we're going to reset that expectation and say, y'all ain't getting nothing. We have one more planned for Final Shape, and then y'all ain't getting nothing. And
I don't think they said y'all ain't getting nothing.
What they said was, but they specifically say delivering ritual armor sets at the rates we have said in the past has become increasingly challenging, especially considering these sets have had very low adoption rate by players as both base armor and cosmetic ornaments. At this time, we are amending our delivery plans and how often we refresh these sets, and will no longer be creating a new set for every expansion. However, we prioritize a new ritual armor set for Final Shape, and we are gonna have a new trial set for next season. Which, fam, this Titan armor is never coming off once I unlock it. I will want to tell you straight up. My name is Panda the motherfucking Paladin. I am not taking this armor. I will have Jackarina on this bitch. You will see me black and white running around nonstop. At the very least, the helmet, unless I am wearing Lorelei or fucking Saint 14 helm, is never coming off. I will become Shax. The helmet is never coming off. Like, I have waited so long for bear-themed armor, and like Ursa Furiosa, I was at home, fam. I was at it. But now they're like, hey, yo, full bear suit for Titans. Let's get it. I'm here for it. Now, that was my one thing. But in terms of the ritual situation, everybody and their mama the past 24 hours has said, Bungie, if you can create as many cosmetics as you do for Eververse, what the hell do you mean you can't create freaking armor sets every expansion once a year? Once a year, yo. Why can't we get new armor? And this is multifaceted because the issue at hand is because I know what David and Tower are going to say, because we already talked about behind the scenes, is our ornaments and armor are two different things. However, David and I had a conversation yesterday on stream, and he said, and he even quoted what I just said from the article, they're looking at it from a cosmetic standpoint and an armor standpoint. So, if Bungie is going to give you one armor set, the Cinder Pine, for a perfect example, the Cinder Pine set, it looks the same on every class. Or every, it's one per class. Looks the same on every ritual activity with a different coat of paint. If no one enjoys that, why would they wear it? If no one likes the look of it, why would they wear it? Secondly, if we know from experience that dungeons, the helm, and raids are the only place to get high stat armor, why would we go to Shaxx, Zavala, or Drifter for armor?
Yep.
So it's a twofold issue. There's a greater conversation to be had about stat distributions and how stat armor should function in other playlists besides raids, dungeons, and the helm. But also, if you're not making things that are cosmetically pleasing, Why would people wear it? Case in point, Bungie dropped for each 3.0 element release, banging solar armor, banging void armor, banging arc armor, but they made it so you had to pay $20 or wait for it to drop into the Bright Dust shop. And to this day, the amount of Thunder Titans I see with that armor set on while they have Curus is insane. The amount of Titans and Hunters and Warlocks that swap off the shoulder pads from the Solar set because they have heat under them. The Void ones, not as much. I don't see the Void ones that much. I think because the Void ones were very pyramid themed, as well as Void.
I wear my Void one off top.
There we go.
Running my
problem solved.
Little bow on my boat.
Yeah, perfect right there. So if you're making more cosmetically pleasing things for the cash shop, but you're leaving the ornament like the in-game stuff to be not as pleasing, we are then left, and also the stats suck on the armor. We're then in another chicken before the egg situation of, hey, stuff ain't popping. Why would we use it? Oh well, since you're not using it, we're gonna stop making it. And it's like, what?
Here's my take on it. All right. If they're going to continue trying to make ritual armor, just make it ornaments.
I don't even think they should do that. Personally, I'm on board with just scrapping it. If you're not,
I agree.
And put the armor sets that they put in the Eververse, put those in the vendors, and make them like vendor specific, like ornaments to them. You know.
Here's my other idea. Yeah, here's my other idea. Let's revisit an old concept that actually I didn't like, but we'll refresh it for the concept. So back in the day, before they added ranks to trials, to get the armor set, you had to get 3 wins, 5 wins, 7 wins. Okay, cool. Let's sit on that. What if you had, like, per expansion or per season, a 1 armor set, doesn't change colors. It may have or you could possibly have like mementos or something like cosmetically pleasing that you could put Gambit Snake on or Crucible Birds and Red and Crimson on or something like that. But there's 1 armor set that you can work for by resetting your vendor. Because you have no idea how many times that PvP players will reset shacks over and over and over again. You could easily be like, hey, yo, reset shacks like 5 times. Here's the armor set. Reset Drifter 5 times. Here's the armor set. And people would mess with it. It'd be great.
Yeah.
But I really am frustrated by this chicken before the egg situation that Bungie's doing, where they're like, hey, y'all don't like it? We're not gonna make it. And they're like, we don't like it because you're not putting the effort into it. And they're like, well, we're going to get rid of it. It's like, what?
That's it's not exactly like as simple as, well, you know, we don't like it because it's shit. And like Bungie's like, well, if we're putting this time into it and you're not even like receiving it in any capacity, like people, I refuse to believe that anybody wears that armor because they want to. There might be some, but they are outliers and not the example. Right?
Well, like, look at Trial specifically, real quick. Look at Trial specifically. There has not been. I will say, except for the Hunter Monkey Cloak, where like the hood is very billowed for whatever reason.
Dome on my fucking head.
Except for that piece specifically, there has never been 1 Trials armor set that has missed the mark. Ever. In the past 3 we've gotten, whether it be the original D11, the one they released around Beyond Light season, like Chosen, I believe, and the one they did like a couple seasons ago recently with the bird, the monkey, and the ram. Every Trials armor set has hit like butter. And people sweat their balls off to get the engrams to unlock them and then make them into ornaments. So if Bungie can hit the mark every time with Trials of Osiris, hit the mark with Crucible, Gambit, and Strikes, and problem solved. And not only that, if you want to view it from not just a cosmetic standpoint, if you fix the stat distribution problem, like, hey, let's throw Crucible players that don't want to go do dungeons a bone. If you want to go do comp, let's give you lesser artifice armor, where you instead of 3, you get 2 points in your mod slot.
Yeah.
That would be something to make comp players sweat. Be like, hey, we don't want to go do master dungeons just to get high stats. Why do we have to go do that? Cool, go play comp.
Like,
and you can get artifice, or like, we'll call it freaking prestige armor. Like, because COD likes using prestige as a word. Prestige armor. It gives you 2 points extra in your stats. People would go nuts. And it would solve so many problems.
Are they going nuts for the armor set, or are they going nuts for the fact that the armor comes with a perk?
That, because look what happened with friggin' with mods 2.0 or 3.0, whatever the fuck, with Lightfall's release. They said, hey yo, you know that mod that every hunter has been clutching on for their mobility since the dawn of time? Powerful friends? No more plus 20, motherfucker. And people lost their minds. What up, Scott? Thank you for joining the chat. And if you gave them an avenue to harness that a little bit, they'd love it. They would love it.
Yeah, but they're not loving it for the appearance of the armor. It's the utility of the armor.
Right. So if you give them 2 different reasons to utilize good-looking armor plus utility,
that same thing with the crappy armor they got in there right now, and they would get that same reaction. Like, the same reaction would be had, and people would just ornament over it.
Yeah.
And that is what I think Bungie's trying to say. You guys don't use this armor, so we don't feel a need to even remotely make it like a thing to like constantly waste resources or making a new one every year for y'all to not use.
Well, like they even say players as both base armor and cosmetic ornaments. So the reason why most people use ornaments is because they don't like the way the armor looks. So if you gave them good looking armor that has a stat bonus that makes sense, people would go nuts. A twofold like solution right there. Good looking armor on the level of trials, but also gives them a reason to sweat for it, and people would go nuts. I solved your problem right there, because even yesterday when we were looking at the data, you were like people don't like it because it looks hideous. Well, it look good. It doesn't look good. So looking
good is.
Oh, what's up with chat? So entry level vendor armor is not equal to end game armor in any MMO I've played. That's true. That's true.
But also, Dan John expanded on that and said vendor armor should not be aspirational. It should be a means to an end. Right. Not everything is aspirational. And he hits it right there.
Right. Thank you. It should have. But here's the thing, though. If we're gonna look at it from a stat distribution, if the stats look good, cool. Stats look great. People want to wear the armor. But here's the second problem. Before, people would sweat out shacks for light level. We're not worried about light level anymore. We're not boosting power level anymore. So
next season they're keeping us at 1800 as well.
Yeah. So like they've removed multiple. They've removed a reason to use vendor armor, which is light level, and they're not fixing the stat distribution, and the armor don't look good. So they're like, hey, we're you're not wearing this, so we're not going to utilize it. Well, you're not giving us a reason to wear it. It's another chicken before the egg.
I'll tell you what, though. I will tell you a very important thing. I will, and I have grinded out some really ugly sets because they dropped with high stats. Mm-hmm. That's what I really think that they should be.
But that's not an appearance thing.
Half my armor sets that I use for raids are freaking Tusk Allegiance armor from Season of the Risen. You think I want to?
Yeah,
Hell no.
it's just ornamented.
That's my point right there. That's my point right there. People are just gonna ornament over this good statted armor anyway. Yeah. So Bungie's saying if you're gonna ornament over it, it's not like people are using this armor as like ornament fuel to ornament over other armor. Mm-hmm. There aren't any aspects of the armor that people are using for like drip purposes. So if you're not going to use it for drip purposes, we might as well just not even fucking put time and death time into it.
But then you have the chicken before the egg situation again, where the shit don't look good, so we're not going to wear it. Well, if you're not going to wear it, we're going to get rid of it. It's a chicken before the egg situation.
22. If you're not going to use it, then we won't even develop for it. It's a basic premise of vote with your wallet. Vote with your time. If you don't play something, you can't be bad when they just like, well, you know, we won't develop it no more. Yeah. Because clearly, you have shown me through your action that you don't want it.
That's fair.
And if you don't want it, then who am I to force you to take it?
I'm just saying it's a weird ass chicken before the egg, and Bungie needs to look back at the data because it feels.
Scott made a good point in the chat too. He said every class has hundreds of armor sets, and we're pressed over the ones from the tower vendor.
I mean, hey, you have a really good point. You really have a good point. But at the same time, if we're gonna
but it's the community focuses on stuff that they don't even use in the first place.
But see, I think about it where that lies the problem, though. Where that lies the problem. Bungie set an expectation, let it ride for a long time, and then didn't say anything for a long time. And then now we're like, hey, where's the shit you promised? And now they're like, hey, we know we messed up, but we're not going to give you anything. You know what it sounds like? You know what it sounds like? It sounds like the Overwatch 2 PvE problem. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
That's not nearly the same.
No, it's the same thing. They're like, hey, we're going to give you a PvE mode. Nothing. Hey, so we know we know we promised you a PvE mode, but you're not gonna get it. Like that's what this feels like.
The way I see it is the reason why I think those are two completely different situations is because not only did they promise them a PvE mode, they gave them a roadmap of what to expect.
Yeah.
Inside that mode. This is what we're working on.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like they gave them pictures. They had press releases.
Yeah, and Bungie did the same thing in the TWIDs. They're like, hey, we're going to give you one per year. And people are like, hey, where's our new armor set? I don't know. It's a valid complaint. Like it's not like quantifiably it's a little bit different.
Really not.
But in terms of concept, it's similar. Like quantifiably it's a little bit different. But like,
it's really like I'm not saying it's petty. I take that back. It's not petty. I'm just saying, look, hear me out. You're really willing to sacrifice like the real grandiose scale armor that Bungie's been producing. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, that Ghost of the Deep armor.
I did not know you were gonna say that. Now you're gonna get Tower on your side. Now you're gonna get Tower on your side, and I'm a loser. I'm mad at you.
It's
the quality
of armor.
I'm telling you, like, people see this as a genuine slight toward them, whereas I'm just saying, like, the less time they spend developing bullshit that we're not going to use, the more time they can spend developing the shit we want.
Yeah.
That is how I'm taking what Bungie's saying. Like,
but see, that's a dangerous slope, though, because that goes into what they're saying of like, hey, you could get a new PvP map, or you could get a new exotic mission, and they're like, they're holding Presage at gunpoint. Like, hey, you want a new Presage? You want a new Whisper of the Worm? You want a new Revision 0, or do you want a PvP map? And it comes off real suspect. It comes off real suspect.
Like, I think people, like, I'll be honest with you. Hear me out. because it's always going like it's about the long game. I'm looking at the long game here. Like, are we gonna sit here and like develop PvP maps for PvP where the vast majority of players don't engage with? So the vast majority of like I'm telling you, there's a pretty big casual player base out there that don't give a damn about Crucible. Hell, I even stopped going in for my 3 Crucible games a week to get the pinnacle, and I've been perfectly fine ever since.
Oh yeah, shit! Shout out to Scott Free with the Prime sub.
For sure. Oh snap! Spend that money. Spend it.
I must have alerts off that way we can do the show. So like, I want to make sure I shouted that out.
But 100%, like they're taking away. It's not like the PvP community is saying like, "Hey, look, we are willing to take less dev time on these aspects of PvP for you to make us more maps." They're like, "Fuck PvE. Stop giving them shit and focus on us. We want your attention now. So give us what we want."
One thing that I've seen a few times now is the conversation of, hey, Final Shape comes out, bet, done, no big deal. Once Final Shape's done, can we get one season, no story or very little story, and it's just PvP gambit changes or sandbox changes or exotic refreshes?
See,
that's a conversation I've been hearing. And if Bungie came out and said that's going to be the new system, one season story, one season sandbox changes, I think a lot of people could get behind that. that. But they're not saying that. They're like, hey, Gambit's going to die in the corner. They'll get Lucent Hive next year in Shadow Cabal, but it's going to go die in the corner. And Crucible's just going to function as it is with a new Tron map and a Reprise map, and that's it. And it's like,
that's not a fair assessment, though. That's hyperbole. Like, they're not saying they're not developing other shit. They're just not telling you as soon as they come up with the thought in their mind. And I think that's pissing off a lot of people because they want that old school Bungie, like, transparency that they used to get. We're going
to get into that. We're like, hold Bungie, that one. We're going to get into that.
I'll hold off on it. But, like, Bungie's legitimately moved into a point where they're like, look, we release information as we lock it down,
right?
And we know
they want the same amount of transparency they used to have. Yeah. But they can't get that, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
No more. But
you can't get that of assholes.
You can't. But what's even more of a problem is that not only are they not getting that transparency, they're taking that like empty space and they're routing themselves up into a frenzy. Mm-hmm. Like Bungie has not said that they're not making more PvP maps. They haven't told you that they're not coming up with.
That is fair. They just said this is what's gonna happen. Pretty much what they said was like, hey, this is why you don't see as many PvP maps, and that's it. They didn't say one way or the other if you're getting any new maps after Dreaming City comes back. They just said, hey, yo, this is the situation and no other information. So people are like, hey, yo, we're kind of scared right now. Bungie, can you alleviate some fear? And what kind of worries me, though, I will say this. What was it?
Speak on it.
I could have sworn, not yesterday, but the day before last, there was an article that came out where they said, hey, we're going to make changes to Crucible and Gambit ahead of the release of the state of the game, and people were like, "Cool, yeah, Gambit changes, Crucible changes, great." And then they're like, "This is what you got," and it's like that's a little rough right there. That's kind of concerning. But we're gonna talk about the dev communication thing in a minute. But now that I will say this. They gave us 2 really good sections where they talked about PvP connectivity and changes to matchmaking, where they're going to widen the band a little bit for the high skill and the low skill, because they've been getting reports that on the high end, people are having to wait 8, 9, 10 minutes for a match, and also on the low end, because they're low skill players, they're waiting 8, 9, 10 minutes for a match. So they're going to widen that band a little bit. Not a lot. They're going to widen that band a little bit. That way, like, high skill players can find a match and low skill players can find a match and the mid players can still thrive. That's good.
And we're finally going to implement the Fire Team Finder. Which
we're gonna get to that in a second.
Well, I'm super excited for.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
CLG.
Well, we're gonna get to that. The other thing, game security. They're talking about like, hey, this is stuff we've done. We're working on new policies. Now, one thing they said, hey, in addition, we have continued to adapt new policies to protect players, including abuse of external accessibility tools. They mean Cronus and Zim. However, there are still reports that Cronus and Zim people are running rampant in the Crucible. And I forgot to show y'all this, but I walked into GameStop the other day, right? GameStop selling Cronuses.
Yeah.
GameStop selling Cronuses like they're freaking action replays from the early 2000s. And they're like, hey, they're not technically cheating, so we can make a profit. I'm like, man, like, that's a dangerous slope, my guy.
The thing is that Cronus and Zim devices are meant to be used for people like me who have arthritis, for people who have, who maybe may not have full use of their hands at all and have to use
right. And we've talked about that before on the show. We've talked about how Cronus and Zim can be used for accessibility. However, Cronus and Zim, the companies who make them, advertise that they're cheating devices. They advertise on their websites that you can increase your fire rate and make your stability great, like have the best combat features, and the selling point, but not the full use. So Bungie sort of put in that article about accessibility and whatnot that they're like, hey, if you use it for accessibility, that's fine, but if we catch you cheating, that's a whole different dynamic. And we've talked about that on the show. We've talked about that plenty of times on the show before. But at the same time, it's a real slippery slope. And we've even talked, like, I remember when Astrocross did the whole video where he talked to people with disabilities and stuff like that. And there was that talking point of if Cronus and Zim users are doing this, they're gonna get banned. I think what people want is for people to use official means of accessibility, like the Xbox controller that came out with, or the PlayStation controller. Yeah. And that would make more sense rather than a company saying, hey, we're cheating, come use the cheating device. It's a bad look.
It's funny because Sony and Microsoft both make accessibility controllers.
Yeah.
Especially the Microsoft one for Xbox is
Microsoft
so
amazing.
It's beautiful, and I absolutely adore it. The problem is places like GameStop and your little mom and pop game reseller.
They don't sell them.
They don't sell them. So you have to pay out your ass by buying them directly from Sony and Microsoft through their stores.
And they're not like insurance, like there's like no like health insurance policy for those either. It's like you gotta pay out of pocket for that.
Exactly.
So it's a very slippery slope. It's like it's very much like you have these companies that are like use our device for cheating, but then there's select people who use them for accessibility and are using that as a talking point. But then there's the cheaters who are trying to slide in behind them, like accessibility, and it's like can't do that, homie. Now I will say flat out, Activision, and I don't like giving Activision props for shit, but Activision and Epic Games were flat out. They're like, hey, yo, we don't care if you're handicapped or not. We detect that shit, you're done. And that's a fair blanket way to go about it because they want to avoid the problem. They're like, and I can respect that. So, and people were looking for Bungie to make an official statement like that, but then Bungie's like, we hear the talking point about accessibility, so we're gonna like try to walk the line, and it's like, I don't think y'all can walk the line like that. So it's weird.
I don't know. I'm probably one of the very few people that look at it as like, okay, there are many accessibility options out there.
Yeah.
All right. There are many of them out there, and I'm not going to sit here and say that all of them are overpriced as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But not everybody has access to cheap and affordable like accessibility tools. But I will say that no matter what it is, if it gives you a upper hand in a video game, 100% twice on Tuesday, there are going to be people that abuse it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest.
Look what happened with AutoFire recently. With AutoFire, you catch everybody that mama using AutoFire now, regardless if you have a disability or not.
Yeah, because some things are just good. Yeah. Some things should just be features. But I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to make a lot of people upset with it.
Let's go.
And that is, when it comes down to Crucible, people aren't as good as they think they are. They just enjoy the advantages of the sandbox and the general game mode and how Crucible is built, of not everybody having equal footing. They enjoy not having equal footing with their opponent. That is the reason why so many PvP players hate for raid exotics when they're good to be really accessible and for people to have them. Because I've been the biggest advocate of going back to Garden of Salvation, where you just make the raid exotic a quest so people can get in.
I've been saying that for 100 years, dog. I've been saying that for 100 years.
But
when you go back to the deal, I messed up my camera and now I'm trying to fix it.
But so much of the community loves to gatekeep things because having the thing is better than actually earning the skill or whatnot. The fact that somebody else has it and you're not a part of this exclusive club is what drives this community, and it drives it hard.
I felt weird talking to the corner, so I flipped my camera that way. It looks like I'm talking to you guys, and it was driving me nuts. But see, and here that's an interesting topic though, because people have been saying for years now that the way the div quest works is gatekeeping, because people don't raid. People don't raid, and they're annoyed that they have to find a fire team to go do div. Now, let's take a break from the negative and let's praise Bungie a little bit while possibly digging a little bit into the negative. But in terms of the grand scheme, something that we've been asking for a million years is finally coming next season. Favoriting shaders. It's not just favoring shaders too, it's favoring ornaments and shaders. And I'm like, yo, I can get with it.
I'm gonna be honest.
Along with that, they're finally turning transmat effects and ghosts into consumables.
And they're taking away from being consumables and putting them on the ships. And I'm like, bravo. Quality of life change. Good job.
I have a controversial opinion. Well, I don't think it's controversial. I just think it's a very contrarian opinion. Whilst I both appreciate Bungie making this change, I really like it. I'm not going to sit here and tell Bungie that they're bad.
Do you have a problem with me favoriting shaders, Dave? Because if you're mad at me for half that, I don't want to have to flip 5 pages to find buffer overflow. We don't have the box because that's a problem.
I will be honest with you, and I feel like there's a lot of people that feel the way I feel. A lot of people say I praise Bungie for way too much, and I don't get on them enough. But especially with this state of the game that they just gave us, you cannot say, hey, we're trimming the fat on a lot of this content that people aren't using so that we can have more dev time and resources for other things. And then this quality, this level of quality of life, updates are what you produce. I'll be honest with you, 100%. This is a very good change. Yeah. I appreciate it. I thank you, Bungie, for giving it to me. Yeah. But just like I praise you, I'm gonna make sure you better. I'm gonna make you better, as we say in the Army. Look, this was a luxury change that you wasted time with when you could be fixing PvP.
I love how I went from being the most critical motherfucker in the room, and then Dava flips the script. I'm like, are you kidding me, dog? I've been here at Bungie's throat the past hour, and then you do this to me?
No, Panda. We haven't even gotten to the narrative changes yet. I'm pissed.
Oh no. Okay, so hold up. Okay, so let's knock out the good shit real quick. Okay, cool. So here's the one thing that I'm like, hey yo, y'all should have did this so long ago, but good job finally doing it. They're finally making it so the stasis quest for Beyond Light doesn't take 5,000 years, and Elsie Bray's just gonna have a vendor thing set up for you to pay Glimmer for.
400%.
Brav the fuck
Perfect.
Brav the fuck
Very
Proud
good
of
for the
you.
new.
Proud of you. The new lights. You know how many new lights have joined the Cosmodrome Radio clan recently? Where like they're like, I can't use Shatter Dive. I can't use these stasis aspects you want me to use for my Warlock build because I have to wait 5 weeks. And I'm like, bro, it sucks. Like this has to change. And I'm like, finally, just give LC a freaking vendor screen. And I'm so happy. I'm so freaking happy.
Granted, I do have a slight concern on that. It's not necessarily like the huge concern, the cost. Because it's
the same cost as the other ones, the 3.0 stuff.
Right. But that's the thing. It's still going to cost a new light $500K to fully unlock stasis.
Right, which is fair. I think it's fair. Like in the same way as the rest of them, you have to put that rather than making it so you have to like your gate kept by time. If you want to put the time in to grind out that much Glimmer, props. Like that's fine, but we're not gonna lock you in by having to wait 7 days. If you get enough Glimmer in that amount of time, props. But we're not gonna like put a we've opened the jail cell, but just left some caltrops on the ground for you as you walk across the road. Like I like it's a weird metaphor, but I think that's how it feels. Where it's like you have a long hallway to walk down to the end of the prison, but we've unlocked the door. If that makes sense, like that's like the best way I can make that metaphor work. Okay, so yeah, transmit effects. They're finally giving people a resource tab, which I think is great because it explains.
God.
Now here's my controversial opinion with this though.
Oh my dear.
You finally gave us a resource screen that explains to every new light player and casual player what each resource does. And yet, you got rid of planetary materials. Bungie, we gonna fight. Because I am somebody that is diehard. Like planetary materials should never have been deprecated because it gets rid of the uniqueness of the planet. Like it reminded me of No Man's Sky. Hey yo, you have to go get materials to do the thing. Now you have Glimmer in an enhancement core, and you just walk up to the vendor and you're done. Like there should still be some complexities about the game. Granted, it shouldn't be like Avengers Square Enix where you got like ISO 8 and 5 other motherfuckers the minute you open the game that they don't even explain how to use. But it should be like, hey, there's this vendor screen that explains where you find this, etc., yada yada. And that makes sense. But in terms of like, in general, just being like, we're gonna keep deprecating, but not explain when you could have just explained, it feels a little weird. If that makes sense.
I mean, there was nothing to use them for.
You would use them for upgrade modules before they got rid of upgrade modules. Before they got rid of them.
Even like you just buy upgrade modules for a condensed set of resources.
Right, but they also
like
made planetary resources mean something with like a vendor or something. I'm just saying like it took away from the space part of the space fantasy, if it makes sense. You know what I mean? That's a little weird. Now
condensing it down to like rudimentary elements.
Now, sandbox changes. We're getting 3 new strand aspects. They don't tell us. They're not telling us what they're about. All we have names. We're getting the whirling maelstrom for the hunter. That sounds like a tornado. That's gonna be annoying as hell. The banner of war sounds like a buff rather than a freaking like cool thing, which annoys me. And then weave walk, which dear, that sounds terrifying. That sounds terrifying.
Sounds to me like I might be getting a strand blink where I drop babies.
That sounds traumatic.
More babies.
That sounds traumatic. Exotic armor reworks. They're doing a part 2 to their giant exotic rework they did this past season. Pray to God for a Mask of the Quiet One rework. Pray to God for a Saint 14 helm rework. Please, Bungie. Like,
bring the zombies back to their former glory.
I heard a really good opinion like yesterday. They should buff Foe Tracer. Buff Foe Tracer and a couple of the 101 things that aren't being used. Now,
100%.
Now I will say, like this is my one wish. This is my one wish list thing for this rework. Bungie, if you're probably not watching, but it's fine. Bungie, just do what you did to Eternal Warrior to Saint 14 Helm. If you can do what you did to Eternal Warrior to Saint 14 Helm, I will never take it off except for when I want to wear no backup plans and wear my bear helmet. Literally, that's all you have to do. Just make Saint 14 Helm like Eternal Warrior, where it gives you buffs for using void weapons. That way, it doesn't just give you a blind overshield and blind bubble. And I will never take it off. Like flat out. If you do that, I will be the happiest kid in the candy store. Hands down. Also, Doomfang Pauldrons, buff them. Because I want to be able to use Sentinel Shield offensively in a GM. Make Doomfang Pauldrons better 2023. Now, further new weapon subfamilies are coming with Final Shape. Sounds like we're getting a new weapon type. Sounds dope. We'll have to look into it in 2 weeks. We are also getting new weapon zoning and different things like that. They show Touch of Malice in the picture, which leads me to believe we're buffing like a certain thing, like maybe buffing certain exotic weapons too. Sounds great. Now, oh boy, here's the sitch. Bungie is very much like, hey guys, so we know you don't like the way we approached Final Shape storytelling, but you know what? We don't give a fuck. And I'm like, oh man.
That's not what they said. That is not at all what they said.
That's what you heard.
Yeah. What they said.
Okay, Tower, break it down.
So Final Shape is going to go back to the one and done campaign story, which for me, I mean, I've gotten some good counterpoints about it, but for me, I'm pissed.
Why?
I'm absolutely pissed because it means that they caved to people like Paul Tassi and Bife who don't know shit about long form narration.
But see, here's the thing, and we've talked about this before. There's a difference between, like there's a big difference between, Ayo, we have a certain narrative structure. We've built this up over multiple seasons to be the Infinity War of our storytelling, and at the end of it, you're gonna lose. And you've even agreed with me before that, like, even with the season of Defiance, this could have been like Red War where we lost.
I have agreed on certain things with you. However, I still keep my base approval of how they're going about the year of content, not the one and done bullcrap. And the thing is the reason that I am enjoying the year-long content is because the same people who were bitching about how Lightfall doesn't, isn't a whole thing about, or they're confused and pissed off about how Lightfall is a whole year worth of content that is a continuous storyline. Those same people were bitching and moaning about how individual seasons in the past didn't have anything to do with the campaign story. They're the same people who bitched about how Season of Plunder had nothing to do with the campaign story or had no continuous, continuity with the rest of the season. It's the same damn.
That's spicy. That's a tricky slope. Because here's the thing. I'm a firm believer that the oh god, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead and finish.
Well, no. So they were the same people who were confused about the fact that, like, Season of Undying had nothing to do with the freaking storyline of Shadowkeep, and they were confused on how, like, Season of Undying had anything to do with Season of the Worthy because there was no continuity between the seasonal stories. Yet last year, those same people were complaining, were applauding Bungie about the seasonal storylines having continuity up to, Season of Plunder. And then they had no idea what the hell Season of Plunder was all about. They couldn't understand the fact that Season of Plunder was supposed to be the deep breath before the plunge, in order to calm us down after all these.
I feel like you're mixing your like your apples and your oranges a little bit here with this.
No.
Let me explain. There's petty people in the community, don't get me wrong, but I think there's a difference between what was it? Season of the Risen beggar story, Season of the haunted beggar story. Then them go then without warning, without any tease, especially with how they did the Witch Queen presentation, and with no teasing, no nothing, just threw pirates at you. No explanation, no planning, no nothing. The only thing we knew about it was Aramis is frozen on Europa. That's all we knew about it. With no knowledge, no planning, no nothing. Because for all we knew,
did tell you, but that's a conversation for a different day.
Well, I'm explaining from a casual perspective. From a casual, doesn't read the TWID, doesn't read the lore books, but also in terms of like a narrative structure. But they very much went, hey yo, pirates, no warning, no nothing. Here you go. That's what you got. And then they're like, hey, now we're gonna catch back up. And also, I will die on this hill. I will die on this specific hill. The Veil Containment mission is just the Beyond Light Born in Darkness mission pushed off a season. I will die on that hill. That the Veil because the Born in Darkness mission came out the same day as Beyond Light. There was no weekly time gate. You did it. You moved on to the next one. You did it. You moved on to the next one, and you were done. You got the whole Elsie Bray and Anna Bray go meet the big head, and you were done. That was the whole story, the whole narrative, and the post game of Lightfall. That made sense. Same thing with with Shadowkeep, but Shadowkeep was a little bit different. Shadowkeep time gated you by weeks, but within the same season, during Season of Undying, that released with Shadowkeep. You had to wait 5 weeks with Shadowkeep to get the information with all the different members of Eris's team that died, their little trinkets. But it was still a weekly structure that you did with them. People were very jarring with, hey, this should have just been with the whole package. It could be over a few weeks with the same package, but it should have been with the package. And also with this, you and I have both agreed. You and I have both agreed. The way Sloan just chucked the witness's whole backstory at us was jarring as hell. When that should have been in the Lightfall campaign. There's a way to do. Oh, go ahead. I'll keep cutting you off.
That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about now. What I was expecting, what I was hoping for, was them to continue on a cohesive, continuous story throughout the year. Now, granted, they haven't said anything about the seasonal stories, and I hope the only reason that I'm not going out, and calling out Bungie for going back to the one and done story, like other people would do, is because I understand they didn't provide any information about the seasonal story. I'm hoping that the seasonal stories will be a continuation from the campaign like they are this year. Like when we got that first season, when we got the Defiance with Lightfall, it was like we were battling on two fronts. And I appreciated that. It was like, the whole, okay, here's what's going on the home front. Here's what we're doing out in the universe. And I think that was really great. I think that having the seasonal stories from Defiance now into the current Season of the Deep, there's a continuity there that also ties back to Lightfall. Right. The thing is that in previous years, and now they have been slowly creeping that in. Beyond Light had, some seasons that had to do with, the DLC content, with Splicer. We went back to Europa and we figured out what was going on with the Elixir there.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. It tied it back to Beyond Light, and they've been slowly doing that with the seasons in Beyond Light, with the seasons in Witch Queen. Yeah. But the thing about it is that the community had such an uproar, not realizing what has been going on the past couple of years and the past couple of expansions with that longer form, that they blew up at Bungie over Lightfall because they didn't realize that there was continuity. Even with Season of the Plunder, there was continuity there because it did tie back to Season of the the Leviathan season. It tied back to that because, again, after having, a year and a half of depressing and horrible stories about how we're having to deal with, racism and xenophobia, and having to deal with our own hidden demons.
Yeah.
In order to break out of that, you have to have some sort of levity. And that's what Season of the Plunder was. Season of the Plunder was that deep, that calm after the storm. Like, we've been dealing with a storm for, a huge hurricane or a tornado for 2 years before that point. We needed something to calm us down.
I think I get where you're at. I think the problem goes back to the same thing I said about the hand cannon portion, the veil containment change. Goes back to the same thing, where Bungie didn't communicate that. They didn't say same thing with the veil containment and the hand cannon missing.
I'm gonna say this.
Let me say this. Let me say this. I think it's the same kind of concept where they're like, hey, the hand cannon, like the response to Lightfall in the hand cannon situation, because the hand cannon was missing from the campaign, and the constant questions of what's the veil, explain the veil. The campaign doesn't make sense. We hate the campaign. The campaign isn't like anything we've ever had before. And then Bungie had to come out in an article after the fact and be like, hey, we're trying long-form storytelling. Hey, you'll get this gun the next season. When the advertisement said hand cannon's on the poster. Even if you go look at Steam or PlayStation right now, that hand cannon's in the poster. Same concept. They waited until the day of the Witch Queen presentation. They're like, hey, yo, we're going to the throne world. We're gonna fight Savathun and these Lucid Hive, and shit's about to get serious. But first, pirates. And it's like, that's what irritated people off. What was the frustration of the jarring change of pace without communication. That's what people were frustrated by.
I'm gonna say this. I feel like I can bridge the gap between you two.
Okay.
All right.
So what Tower's saying isn't wrong.
I agree. I agree with the statement. Their arguments are kind of out of pocket. Yeah, I agree with their statement, but I'm trying to put the pieces together.
Too, Panda, is that like you would have liked a little bit of like build up into like this farm, right? Like you're just saying, like
I feel like Bungie needs to communicate what the hell they're selling to people, because I will die on the hill that hand cannon should have been like that hand cannon had no reason to be in veil containment because it was a pre-rolled legendary hand cannon that no one hardly uses, but they advertised it like it was going to be a damn exotic, and that shit should have been that shit should have been the base game.
Wasn't that hand cannon like hand cannon that was like what was it, made by like a community member or something designed? All right. Well, anyway, like I was saying,
it was on the Lightfall poster. The hunter's holding it. The hunter's holding it right on the right side of the poster. It's on the box.
But you still got it as a part of the Lightfall campaign.
But they had to tell you. They had to tell you after the fact and be like, "Hey, we know we didn't tell you, but that hand cannon is coming next season." And they showed you a picture. Like, hold on, it's coming next season. And it was very out of pocket. It was very much like,
because players are used to getting things as soon as they release it.
Right, and what I'm saying is Bungie needed to communicate that. Bungie needs to, because you gotta we talked about this before. We talked about this before. People hardly even read the TWID. People don't even like people like we've talked about the fact that Bungie needs to put a bulletin board at the tower. And Scott Free just said Bungie wants to have secrets. That's fine, but then don't put it on the poster. That's what I'm saying.
Also,
don't put it on the poster.
Right above that, Scarlett says we're still missing the grenade launcher and the machine gun from the poster. By the way,
no, we're not.
So
what?
Why are you so hung up on the hand cannon when there's two other items?
What?
Hold on. Grenade launcher gun on the poster.
The grenade launcher, I think, the grenade launcher is the heavy grenade launcher from the campaign.
No, it's not.
And if that's the case, then I just overlooked it, and we should have been saying something regardless. And the machine gun, and the machine gun, we already know the machine gun was the void one. We know the machine gun's in the game.
It's not the machine gun is not.
Dog, I will pull up the Lightfall trailer right now. I will put it on screen. Don't play with me. Like that machine gun. What is the
We're talking about the poster, not the trailer, by the way.
Well, no, and like if you're talking about the Lightfall poster, the gun the Titan's holding is Quicksilver Storm. In the post, like in the secondary poster, there's like two different posters. There's the one poster. I'll put them on screen. Let me download them. There's two different posters they're talking about, and in both posters, the Titan's holding two different weapons. Add image, browse. So in this one, Titan's holding Quicksilver Storm. That's what you can see right there. That's not a machine gun. Quicksilver Storm's just fucking huge. That's not a machine gun. It's Quicksilver Storm.
That's not Quicksilver Storm.
That is literally Quicksilver Storm to a T.
That's not.
Look at it.
I'm looking at the poster right now. That's not Quicksilver.
I can put Quicksilver Storm on the screen with it right now.
Not from what I'm seeing.
It's the same gun to a T, and they showed it in the trailer, and they're like, "Hey, you know that gun that you saw in the trailer? It's literally available right now if you pre-order the game." I will put them both on frame together. I'm being that petty right now for the sake of the live because it's fun.
Hold on, I'm on mobile because I gotta use some.
They're fine. But I have them both pulled up right now back to back.
Wait, that was Quicksilver Storm. You're right.
That is Quicksilver Storm. I flipped them both on the side. It's the same gun.
Hold on, the grenade launcher. Let me see.
Now the grenade launcher, I will say, I could be wrong about the grenade launcher. The grenade launcher, if that's the case, and the grenade launcher has just been abandoned, then where's the grenade launcher? That's a whole other ballgame. Because you're right, the grenade launcher does look very much like the hand cannon, and the grenade launcher is just not talked about at all. The grenade launcher is just gone. So I will give chat that. I will give chat that the grenade launcher is something that needs to be addressed too. I think the issue is, and I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. Is if Bungie is going to make a drastic change like they did, they need to communicate it. It's cool to have some secrets. We're not. Don't get it twisted. Whisper was great. People love Whisper. Whisper was found by a dude on Reddit. But at the same time,
my buddy who posted it on Reddit.
I'm gonna say
that's dope.
My Badger box literally accidentally stumbled into it, and he's the one who posted it up.
But that's what I'm saying. Things like Whisper,
I don't want to hurt your feelings, Panda. I don't want to hurt your feelings.
Bungie doesn't owe us shit. That's what we're gonna say. I already know.
Not even just that Bungie doesn't owe us shit. I'm legit, 100%. Bungie doesn't to tell you everything about what's happening, and I think that people's expectation of Bungie telling you everything that's about to happen is one of the biggest problems with Lightfall. Not just with the campaign, but with how people are digesting the lore. And this is my hill and I'll die on it. People are so upset with Lightfall because their expectations weren't met. But their expectations were never expectations ever. People have had years of fan-made lore, like headcanon. Lightfall fails. Like the biggest pain point of Lightfall is that people's headcanon was not met. People had an idea of what the veil was without Bungie ever saying anything about it. All they said is that it was a thing. They never told us what it was. They never told us what it was supposed to be.
Right.
For years, they've never had an official statement on anything. But we as a community have created canon that when Lightfall released, that headcanon was not affirmed. And then people went through cognitive dissonance. Like, oh my God, how dare them not have the thing that I've been going on for years now? Because I remember at one point where the Veil was supposed to be another faction, another alien race.
That's true.
That people believed it was. So now that they're here and they're not getting the answers that they thought they were going to get, now they're upset because now it's like, that's not what I thought this was. I thought I was going to be getting something different.
But see, here's where I agree with you. But here's the other side of that sword.
I was just about to say that.
The Bungie marketing and the way they went about prepping Lightfall. One of the trailers that I just rewatched real quick, the end of it says, "Our end begins tomorrow." They played our end begins, as in people saw this, people thought that because here's the thing, and we've talked about this before. I don't think anybody and their mama ever thought we weren't gonna lose at the end of Lightfall. People wanted us to lose. People were looking for light to fall, but in the end, only thing that fell was a chunk of the Traveler fell off, and there's a triangle portal now. Light didn't fall. Light didn't fall at all. We've talked about previously that people were expecting a Red War level event where towers decimated. We're on the brink of defeat. Shadow Legions rolling in. The only hope we have is to go to Neptune. That's what people expected, and we didn't get that.
That's because that was their headcanon. But a far worse event has transpired. And I don't understand why people are just breezing over it. The tower is perceived to be dead right now. People think the tower has died. Your ghost is grieving the death of its creator.
Yeah.
That is far worse.
But let me throw it. Let me flip that back at you.
Go
ahead. At the end of the Lightfall campaign, Zavala and Ikora barely feel shattered whatsoever. You know when they felt because if you're reading the little paragraphs they did they're I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but Lance and the new girl playing Ikora, they sounded worse when they lost their light. When Red War happened, Ikora had an existential crisis on Io. Zavala's trying to survive with Sloane on Titan. They had an existential crisis. People expected that level of distress.
Panda.
What?
You need to understand something that's a very hard concept for civilians to understand, and that is the weight of having to be a leader. Okay? In the military, you don't show when something affects you. You have to be strong to be able to run a unit, to be able to handle the issues that your people are going through. They learned from what happened in Red War, because everybody was feeling the loss of the light at that point. Nobody was not feeling that.
Right.
But there is nothing comparable to losing your light as we're going through right now. There is no loss of light, so they don't have that feeling of absolute devastation. They're just as confused as we are, but they can't show that. They have to keep a level head and keep their eyes on the prize, focused on what we have to do right now and plan out for what has to be done in the future. And Dave, I hope you can back me up on this because you're
my counter to that. My counter to that is
I have one very controversial opinion between both.
Okay, we'll get there in a second. But my counter to Tower there is if y'all can express existential crisis emotion when your light's gone. And Lance, let me finish. And Lance can express his existential crisis about the tower, like helping the Hive in the Witch Queen campaign. There needed to and if they trust the Guardian, the standing character, the level at the level they do to show emotion, like in Forsaken and the Red War and Witch Queen, they should have showed that at the end of Lightfall, and it not just be you walking up to vendors. That's one of the biggest criticisms of the campaign as well. Is it felt like it wasn't taking it seriously. So and what was it? Scott Free said in chat, Zavala said he feels like the void of the Traveler is missing. Yeah, but at the same time, it was text on a screen and not a cutscene. It feels as if there wasn't as much effort put into this versus Witch Queen versus not Shadowkeep, God no, but Witch Queen and Beyond Light. There was emotion or Forsaken or Red War. There was emotion stressed in those situations, and I get what you're saying about needing to stand strong. Hell, I've been defending Zavala for 5 years now, ever since Forsaken, with where he chose the right move to defend the tower instead of going to seek revenge. I've been defending that for ages. That's because I'm a diehard Zavala fanboy. But at the same time, if they consider the Guardian and consider him to be a trusted ally, they needed to convey the emotion the right way because people didn't find it as convicting as they needed it.
So I'm gonna say this, and you're both. Neither of you is wrong. That's the thing that you're both missing. 100% Tower's right. As a leader in the military, your soldiers, the people who are under you, follow your lead. If you break down, they break down.
Yeah.
And that is nowhere, from a strategical stance, right now, panic in the tower of our God is dead is definitely not where you want to be right now. 100%. 100%. But same time, different token. Right now, we're talking about a narrative, and this is my genuine opinion of Lightfall. That it was a good story, narratively, really good. However, the biggest issue with it is that the vast majority of people cannot follow what it was that Bungie was trying to convey, and that's a clear failure of narrative, driven content.
That's what Bife has been saying since the day the shit came out, is that they didn't convey it the way they're trying to say it. Even if it is long-form storytelling, they didn't communicate that, they didn't say anything, but also they didn't give what their all compared to other expansions. That's what everyone's been saying.
That's not the same. That's not the same. No.
I think it is. I think to a certain extent it is.
You, Panda, put your heart and soul into writing the book, right? And then people read your heart and soul, and they look at it and they're like, "This is bland,
I don't get
uninspired, and blah."
Yeah.
Right? Does that mean that you didn't put your heart and soul into it?
Right. Think of it this way: put your heart and soul into writing something, and someone tells you that they could write it better. How do you think that would feel?
Right, and I'm not defending Bife from that standpoint. I think that's where you're hurt too. Is that you think Bife is entitled from that perspective? I don't.
Absolutely.
Right. But I'm not going to defend that line. But I do think Bife had a point that even though people like him and Mylan and other people like dissect this lore like it's their job, because it is their job as content creators, if they've gone through every nook and cranny of this lore and lined out all the pieces up like Kingdom Hearts and gave people every piece of information, and then Bungie jumps the shark like it's the Fonz without any warning or expectation or whatever, and they have Osiris knocking on your door like, go get the veil, but they're not explaining the importance of the veil.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
Keep it a buck.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. Lightfall's story is far above the comprehension of the people playing it. Right now, from a narrative perspective, and I'm 98.9% sure Tower's gonna agree with me. Right now, from a narrative perspective, this is what the story is supposed to be. Questions. More questions than answers.
That's fair.
So that those questions can be answered later in the final shape. Right now, we're not supposed to have the answers. This is the rising tension of the story.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that to a certain extent.
They want to feel complete.
No, it's not that. I really think you guys are missing the point with this. I don't think it's that. People knew we were going to lose with Lightfall.
Yes.
They wanted Light to fall. People knew we were going to lose. But at the same time, people were looking for, like, they put a piece here, they put a piece here. They had the whole road, and they thought we had the whole yellow brick road lined up, and we were gonna roll up. We're gonna grab these Cloud Striders. We have all the pieces we need to figure out. We're gonna go fight Callus. And then they're like, hey, we're gonna go fight Callus, but we're gonna take a sidetrack here. We're gonna go do this fight. But we're not gonna tell you about this thing at all. And rather than having questions at the end of the narrative, which that's what Infinity War did for a comparison, they left you with questions of what's gonna happen here. What is this? What's gonna happen on the road? Thanos won. Oh my God. In contrast, this thing said, the minute you walk in the door, what's this? Like we're freaking Jack Skellington, and had people confused 5 ways to Sunday before you even step in the door.
But that's the thing. It's your expectation. That was your expectation to have a beginning, middle, and end, and then a continuation.
This is our longest episode ever. Holy shit!
But the thing about it, go ahead, Tower.
Yeah, go ahead, Tower.
You finish your thought, Dana, and then I'll come in with mine.
Oh, so like people wanted a beginning, middle, and end, and then a continuation, right? But Lightfall is not a beginning, middle, and end. It is a beginning. Yeah. Like literally, the story has been Lightfall, and like granted, I'll agree that Bungie's way of disseminating the information has not been the best, and I think that it has
that's what everyone's saying. You just put the nail on the head. That's what everybody's saying.
The information, but people aren't arguing that the dissemination of the information is wrong. They're arguing that the information in and of itself is wrong. Like
that's not it. No, they're saying there's a lack of information, and the way you're going about it is wrong. No one's arguing with the content. Hell, Tower and I even agreed before. Sloan info dumping us about the witness should have happened in the Lightfall campaign. We've agreed on that before. People aren't mad about the information. Well, except for the fact that like the pyramid ships are for all we know empty. But like, we don't know about that. But people are mad about the way they went about it. That's what I see across the community. That's what Bive even said. They're mad about the way they went about it. That's what he's been saying.
Let me ask you this question before you say what you got to say, Pat. Tower. Let me ask you this question. Explain to me the fault of the dissemination.
So,
like, where's the problem with how they went about it? Like, not
they told
what they did wrong, or how they did it wrong.
Okay, so we're running out of time. We're actually over time, but let me go through this real quick. Okay, cool. We know that we're going in. We're following Callus to Neptune. They're going after the Veil. We don't know what the Veil is yet. We found out about the Veil during the previous season. We don't know what the Veil is. Cool, that's fine. That's fine. But they're trying to create agency about something that we have no knowledge of. Yes. In terms of that, also, Osiris is freaking the fuck out like he has a stick up his ass, and when he's acting like he has all the pieces lined up like Kingdom Hearts when he doesn't have the pieces lined up, and he's like, we need to go get the radio mast. We need to go get the this. He didn't even know if the radio mast was even connected to the veil. They didn't even tell us that. He's like, we need to get to the radio mast. Like, one of the best lines from that whole first mission where you go to the radio mast is like Osiris freaking out, and Rohan is like, I know what's at stake, Lightbearer. And that's how I felt. Where it's like, hey yo, we know we need to get here, but we don't have all the pieces here. And that's where people are sort of like freaking out. Some people are upset about the fact that it feels like they split 2 cutscenes in one and then dropped a campaign in it. But also the dissemination of the information, the way David put it, it's the way they did it. With Witch Queen, they were like, hey yo, you rolled up in here, you thought you knew what was up. You went to go fight Savathun, you went to go beat her ass, you found out she has the light. Oh my god, we have to kill Savathun. Then you get to the end of the road. Turns out Savathun didn't know what the fuck was up because she lost her memory when she became a guardian. And then you just gave her all of her memories back.
Yes.
Oh shit! The way they laid it out at the end of the road was a better dissemination of information than what the veil was done.
Let me pause you right there. Those 2 examples that you gave, I think they're perfect, right? Mm-hmm. Osiris's like crazy ass rants about finding the veil, and the way that we gave Savathun back her memory, right? Mm-hmm. These are 2 completely different ways of telling a narrative, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, what you're asking for from Osiris would create plot holes, 100%, because no one knows what the fuck the veil is. Nobody in the situation with Osiris could tell you what it was. Yeah. Nobody could tell you where it was. Not Rohan, not Nimbus. Mm-hmm. Nobody could tell you what it was. So why are you expecting somebody to give you a detailed explanation of what it is?
Right. I'm not saying that. But also, if Osiris has no knowledge of what it is, why does he have a fire under his ass? He thinks the world's about to end right now if we don't find the veil. But he doesn't know what the veil is. The veil could have been a plate of cookies.
That takes you back to Season of the Plunder.
Okay.
Right? When he got woke up from the tea of darkness, we don't even know what the fuck that was. But hey, it is what it is.
That's a plot hole in its own right.
Yeah, but he got woke up, and the first thing he said is, we need to find the veil, because of when he was spending time being possessed by Savathun. One of the most important thoughts that he was able to gander from her is the importance of the veil. She didn't know what the veil was.
He knew what it was.
And he knew that it was so important that the witness didn't get it. That was all the information he had. Mm-hmm. He knew that if the witness got this, it was game over. That's what he knew from Savathun. He was not playing with the full deck of cards.
Right.
He had one nugget of information, and that is what Lightfall plays on. That one nugget of information. And leaping before you look. But when you go to Witch Queen, we didn't know that Savathun didn't have her memory.
Right.
They never said that. We didn't know, so it wasn't something that needed to be explained. It was literally them just playing with our expectations. And then it happened. And then you're like, oh shit. Like, I can't believe we got played like that.
Yeah.
But then you know that Savathun is like the master of trickery, and she had been playing with figuring out if people could get their memories back and how they could go about being reminded of their past lives with what she did with Crow in Season of the Lost. Yeah. These things have like plot points, but people want a full, diverse story right now. It's right now. We want it all right.
I think it's fair to assume we should have got like Witch Queen level content at the same quality here, because Bungie set an expectation.
but we didn't get witching level content.
I don't agree with that.
And the reason why I say that is because the story and the narrative are functionally, from a like narrative standpoint, the story is solid. Granted, we can like pussyfoot around it and like disagree or agree with like how people like interpreted the information,
right?
Or like people's expectation of what the information was going to be. But the only grievance that I can see at this point in time, if you look at the story from a like objective point of view, the only issue that I can find is that the story and narrative that Bungie told was solid, but it wasn't told well enough for people to understand what
that's
I
just
told.
That's kind of where I'm at, and like, that's what I'm trying to convey.
That's not what you're saying.
But also, and to coincide with that, like one of my biggest pain points is look what happened with Rohan. Did anyone think we were going to give a shit about Rohan dying? No. Rohan was here for 5 minutes. Bye.
I did.
Rohan was here for 5 minutes and barely gave us any dialogue.
There's also a little plot point out there, a little loose thread. I don't know, like if anybody knows about it.
I was saying, like they left enough that they could introduce another Cloud Strider at some point. But like Rohan was here for 5 minutes and dropped dead, and it was like, oh well, shit. And like they played into like the lethal weapon stereotype a little bit, which was cool. But like they didn't give enough to like the neurotypical. Let's use that because the majority of us are neurodivergent in this freaking podcast right now. To the neurotypical brain pattern, they didn't convey this right here. They're like, hey yo, roll in. We're new people. Killed. It like off right. That's there's certain narrative beats that just didn't go in. There's certain bits like hell. Thing that came off sideways, like in the same breath. Holiday. They wanted us to give a crap about Holiday's death. It was completely blindsided, and I still said the reason why it's super blindsiding is you still have her voice actor sitting in the corner as Keitel. I thought they should have killed Hawthorne. That'd have been fun. That'd have been fine. It's weird they killed her off. It's very odd, but
it makes sense though. It makes perfect sense. Like they even tell you with like the whole mission that they plan to bring her back. That is the see. That's the thing. A lot of people look at these events like isolated issues, but they're all plot points to a bigger story. Like, Holiday is dead. But even after the mission's done, what weapon do they give you as a like role that everybody got after the mission? What's it called? The Prodigal Return.
Yeah.
That's that you understand throughout the mission the requirements to become a guardian. You know? So it's like they literally set the platform for you to understand, like, we plan on bringing it back.
Well, at the end of the day, I think while I understand Tower's point, and I understand that
I have a point that I haven't gotten this yet.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. We cut you off. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So my whole point about all this is you keep bringing back the whole everybody's expecting light to fall. The thing is we still have 2 seasons left. Who says it's not before the final? We're not going to lose our light. Who says that Holiday is not coming back? We still have 2 seasons to go. We still have a whole 6-7 months before we get the new expansion. A lot of shit can happen in that time, and that's what I'm excited for, is discovering all that new stuff that's going to happen in the next 2 seasons.
That's cool, and that's fine.
And that's the whole point of long form content.
Right, and I think Bungie's always sort of had long form content, despite not conveying the plunder issue right, and despite not conveying certain things the right way. Bungie's always had things that have lined up the pieces the way we need them. But at the same time, let's rewind the clock right quick. Curse of Osiris. What's it about? Osiris fucking up. Warmind, what's it about? The Warmind. Forsaken, what's it about? People like Cade dying, and we having to deal with the fallout of that situation, and he was forsaken because we lost him. Why did you forsake us, Traveler? Why did you let Cade die? Why are you, as the Vanguard, not going to say avenge Cade? Those questions coming into play, and in terms of that, Shadowkeep. What does Shadowkeep do? You go fight the Hive in the Scarlet Keep. Genius, and also the darkness is involved. Perfect. Witch Queen, or Beyond Light, rather. Beyond Light. You go beyond the light to the darkness. You use the darkness in conjunction with the light. Perfect. Makes obvious sense. Witch Queen, what does it involve? The Witch Queen. Brain, perfect. Lightfall, what happens? The light is supposed to fall in the same package that people were given. It's not a great metaphor.
Okay, I think I see it.
It's not a great analogy, but I used it previously.
Let me ask you this question.
I used this analogy previously, but it's not 1-to-1 because Destiny's a long form game with like MMO. But think of a person who walks in the door and expects one campaign for $60. They come in and look for a complete package for $60, and they're used to Bungie coming in and saying, "Here's a complete package for $60, and then you can opt in for a $10 season here, a $10 season here, a $10 season here." 12. You know what I meant. You know what I mean. But like they're used to this form of storytelling and this form of structure. And Bungie didn't put nobody on notice, and then they're like, "Hey, yo, you're gonna get some story beats next season. A story beat next season." In reality, I'll die on this hill. Veil Containment is just Born in Darkness spread across multiple seasons. There's no two lengths about it.
I think that they did drop the ball with Veil Containment. I agree with you there.
But people didn't even know the Veil Containment existed.
And that's the reason why they
you got one notice at the beginning of the season that hey, there's some new stuff with Osiris and freaking Nimbus over here, and then they never told you again that it was a weekly thing.
I agree. That is a failure of Bungie disseminating information. I agree with you there.
That's 100%. My entire point is that Bungie did not disseminate the information correctly.
People are arguing. They're not arguing.
That's what it is. That's what Bife
That's
said.
not what you're arguing because that's not what you said this entire time. That's what you hear yourself saying. I understand. That's how you're interpreting what you're saying. But the difference is that one, having the narrative not go a certain way, that's one thing. But having the narrative be broken up across the space of the game in real time without informing players, hey, look, the campaign is over, but there will be more to this campaign, this DLC. The base campaign will be spread out over the seasons. So be looking to come back next season for more of this base campaign, not the seasonal content,
right?
But just the Veil campaign.
And I even said
there's a functional difference,
right? And I even said they didn't tell anybody until after there was uproar. They didn't tell anybody until after there was uproar that you were going to get more questions answered in the next season. They didn't tell people, and that's what my issue is. That the dissemination of the information and the way they went about it is the problem. They didn't tell that. They literally waited until after the stuff dropped, and people are like, "Oh my god!" 2 days later, TWID comes out. Hey, so we understand you have some concerns about this. There's going to be more information about the Veil that comes out in next season. You'll get more information from Osiris and Nimbus. It won't be part of the battle pass. It won't be part of the seasonal content. If you bought Lightfall, you get this. But they didn't tell people in the game or prior to the release. And that's the problem. That's what people were upset about. There's no answers. There's no understanding. There's a difference in the release of the content from we've had this argument before. There's an issue with how Bungie went about this. And because no one's ever had a problem with the way they've if they did, they're stupid. The way Bungie's disseminated information across the season before, because look what happened with Witch Queen. That season, The Risen gave you stuff about like the Lucid Hive and whatnot. Next season, you've had follow up with Callus, and it led into story content. You dealt with the haunted shit, and you had Callus join the Witness after trying for so long since Presage. Plunder was a step off in the wrong direction a little bit in terms of people's vision. That's stupid. It was a little bit of breath of fresh air, but it still had story beats that led into the Veil and Nezarec and all that shit. Same thing with Seraph. Seraph tied up loose ends and tied it into the narrative. If y'all don't see that, you're stupid. But the thing is, here with Defiance was underwhelming and didn't feel like the true invasion that people were expecting. Risen had really rough story dissemination in general, and we've agreed on that. And we don't know what's going to happen next season because Bungie's admitted, hey, we're finally taking that leap and diversifying seasonal content the way you guys want us to. Because ever since Glad's giant video where he was upset about it, people have been wanting more content dispersed differently than how ever since Season of the Chosen. Great. And we're not having to take that step of lead like that way either. I might need to have Darren come on the show because he's in the chat, coming at saying all this stuff. And I'm trying to keep up with it. But in general, Bungie has struggled to set expectations, but at the same time, Bungie doesn't owe us shit. It's a very sticky back and forth. And that's cool and all. Like we want chat interaction, we want things like that. But it's like I'm trying to keep up, and I'm like but no, that's the heart of the issue, in my opinion. And
that's a very valid opinion.
And I very much want to say, I always say this, and I want to end on this specifically because there was a tweet where Dirty F and Hippie put up on she retweeted the article yesterday. Then she deleted it because the replies from the toxic fan base was out of control, hands down out of control, and she deleted it.
Out of control.
Then she posted like F5 with a smiley face. I don't know what it was in relation to. I don't know. But then somebody had the gall to reply to that random tweet that had nothing to do with the situation and say, absolutely wild how you deleted your tweet hyping up State of the Game after backlash it got. Really seems like you cannot take accountability for what was written. As a community manager, you have to be better with setting expectations because deleting the tweet tells me all I need to know. Now, F that guy. Because
everyone in the replies who was literally sending her death threats.
F them.
She is very open and communicative about the fact that she has epilepsy.
Yeah.
People were literally sending seizure-inducing gifts at her.
Yeah.
That is a death threat.
They don't care. And it's horrible. And like we have said multiple times in the show, we will be critical about the game. We hell, perfect example. Earlier in the episode, we had a whole 360 where I went from being critical, flipped the script, and David was critical, and me and Tower were hyped. We flipped the script. We will be critical on this show. Cosmodrome Radio was founded on the idea that we will be the middle ground and we will be critical, where we will praise Bungie because we love this game, but at the same time, we will be critical. At no point have we ever said attacking devs is okay. We have never said that. We have said multiple times that if you attack a dev, you're trash. If you send pizzas to a dev, you're trash. And that man is going to be in debt for the rest of his fucking life because of that. If you send death threats to a dev, you're trash. This game is not worth your time and patience if you think sending death threats to a dev is okay. Like, literally, I've been feeling burnt out from this game a lot. I've been streaming Dead by Daylight. People, you can go check my freaking logs. I've been streaming Dead by Daylight, Fortnite, things of that nature to diversify my content now that I'm getting back into streaming. But while also doing bounty prep for next season. have I been frustrated by the seasonal model a little bit? Yeah. Honestly, I didn't give a crap about deep dives until the Wicked Implement
The
mission started to roll
Wicked
in.
Implement, baby. Come on.
But so did I bitch on Twitter? No. Did I attack devs? No. I went and played a different game, and I had fun,
Right.
and I came back because I love this game. That's what people need to do. Hell, I'll use a perfect example. Diablo 4 just came out, and despite all the drama with that, one thing the devs had to come out in the first week and go and say was, "Hey yo, if you beat everything and you beat Uber Lilith already, take a break. Go play something else. Touch some grass." Bungie literally made an emote about touching grass. And you people are out here like, we are going to attack devs because we're so... Like, her response was so eloquently done. She said, I deleted it because once something starts getting threatening, I'm not having it on my personal page. Especially when it starts diving into territory of people sending me epileptic triggering gifts to me and epileptic. Every bit of feedback to it we're taking back. Bungie has said multiple times, if you want to give constructive feedback, there's the forums, there's the Twitter, give constructive feedback. But at the same time, you giving death threats, you being toxic. Bungie just took a man to court for $700,000, $800,000 for doxing a person and being threatening. You don't want to play with Bungie. Y'all need to quit. Like, regardless of what you think of Marathon, the PvP maps, everything up the freaking, like Scott Free said in the chat, hobbies should inspire passion, but I will amend that and say we should, like, your passion should not be that level of deviant. We like we will sit here and like be critical. Like we just had a freaking 45-minute argument about Lightfall. Are any of us gonna go threaten a dev? No.
No.
Are you in your damn mind? Like who wants to do that? Like it just, I don't know. It just it's
So here's my piece, right?
Okay.
Here's my piece.
I'm just frustrated by the whole situation because I saw like her reply that, and I saw that she was an epileptic. I was ready to go beast mode on a motherfucker. I was very much like, this is getting ridiculous.
Name and shame. Name and shame, Liana.
I have a very scathing opinion on this.
Go for
and
it.
People aren't gonna like it, right? But we gotta take our medicine, right? So I got some medicine for Bungie, and I got some medicine for the community. Like I'm gonna start with the community, and I'm gonna move to Bungie. But just know Bungie got a hand in this too, and we're gonna have words. But for the community, right? The great MLK once said, right, that riots are, the voice of the unheard, right? And so what I see is that there has been enough discourse in the community as it is, that they feel the only way to be heard is to fuck shit up and riot and frenzy all over the place, right? And this is not acceptable. Not on any planet is this acceptable, right? And this is the reason why you hear me say that if Bungie stops giving us information and this transparency that people crave so much, like you used to tell us all this information beforehand, now you don't tell us anything. Like, why is this? First of all, it's because of your behavior.
Yeah.
One. And Bungie has been very clear about their willingness to engage in like mental wellness.
They just said on Reddit last week when someone was like, hey, I get you've been attacked, but we need more communication. And they said, hey, yo, we're still being fucking attacked despite taking $800K from a dude just now. But so like hit us up at the forums, but we're gonna keep doing what we do. And I don't blame them.
Like 100%. It's about mental health. Like they're not gonna just sit here and be and tolerate being abused.
Right.
But the player base, and this isn't just the crazy people, but a lot of the content creators, and hell, me and you were talking about this yesterday, Panda, and you kind of alluded to it as well, that just because people are abusing you does not mean that you get to take a step into the shadows.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just cut off communication because people are abusing you. And my answer to that is get fucked. Yes, you can. You do not have to tolerate people treating you the way that they feel like they want to treat you. 100%. This community is spoiled. Fucking spoiled rotten 100%. Because they know that Bungie listens. They know that Bungie listens and reads these comments. Hell, that's the reason why they tried to kill Liana with fucking gifts. Because they know that we listen. And they feel abandoned, but they know that they're not. They're just spoiled. They're not getting what they want, so they want to lash out. But they don't keep that same energy when Bungie shuts the fuck up and just does their job. They're not mad that they're not getting good content. They're just mad they're not getting what they want when they want it. They're spoiled. Like children that want a fucking ice pop out of the freezer and their parents tell them no. You don't spoil your fucking dinner.
Right,
but,
and freaking and Scott just said in chat to a certain extent, but like Bungie doesn't owe us shit, and 99% of games don't tell the players anything. But
here's you a goddamn thing. And
but here's the double-edged sword with that, because I agree with that statement, and I've even said because Astrocross made a joke like a couple weeks ago where he was like, Bungie, go dark. Don't say shit. Yeah. Don't even do a showcase. Don't say nothing till Final Shape comes out. Release TWIDs and patch notes. That's it.
That's it.
And I was like.
That's all you're entitled to.
Right. Or barely even that. But at the same time, the problem with like, it's the same thing, the chicken before the egg.
It's not.
I'm playing devil's advocate to a certain extent. Let me finish.
Okay.
Bungie has set the expectation, and people have begun to follow their lead. Look what happened with Blizzard this past 2 weeks with the fireside chats. Them motherfuckers, every decision they make, they're out here like, hey, yo, we're going to have an emergency fireside chat because we effed up. And they came on full video looking like they about to get hung from the gallows. And they're like, hey, yo, we messed up. Hey, yo, we're never going to release a patch like this ever again. We're sorry. Please keep playing our game. And Bungie has gone on to win awards from different, from Jeff Keighley, from different websites for their community strides. And Bungie has set that expectation to where other studios are following suit from Bungie's lead. So when Bungie has stepped into the shadows now, which is their right to do, it's going to come off looking sideways to the casual community who isn't sending the death threats. And because truth be told, the guy on Reddit was very respectful with his message. He was like, hey, I totally get you're being attacked. I totally get it. But can you please give us something? And a community manager came in and was like, no, hit us up in the forums. We're still being attacked.
Perfectly reasonable answer.
Right. And
it is.
So it's a very much a double-edged sword.
It's not a double-edged sword.
Not a double-edged sword, but it's a.
No, so I'm
looking for a metaphor. I'm looking for some kind of metaphor where it's like you set the expectation, but they fucked up, and now they're still looking for that expectation. And it's a hard thing to cope with. That there's not enough copium in the room for them to deal with it. And it's like they're still looking for that expectation despite the controversy. And it's
about being spoiled.
Yeah.
It's when a child knocks a plate of food off the table and then expects to get ice cream after. But you said once I was done with the food, I get ice cream, Mom.
Yeah. So like it's a screwed up situation, but the community did it to themselves, and it's like while I respect Bungie for causing innovation the way they did, y'all fucked up, and now you got to deal with the consequences. So that's why I had you hold off on it earlier, David, when you wanted to talk about it. Because
I'm not even.
I've had Liliana's screenshot sitting here for the past 2 hours waiting to talk about this shit because I was livid. I was driving to my lawyer's office and I saw that tweet. I was pissed. So like, so we're gonna leave it there.
100%. I still got some shit to say. Look,
we're about to hit 3 hours, so I'm
gonna keep it short. I'm gonna keep it brief.
All right,
but look, 100%. Bungie has every right to not be transparent, and they're still being transparent.
Yeah,
but understanding that once you've abused somebody, you don't get to abuse them and then act like once the situation's blown over, act like that abuse never happened. Like you don't get to punch somebody in the face and then expect them to invite you to their birthday party.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, well, that was so long ago. But no, like the situation's changed, our relationship has changed. And if the Destiny community cannot come to terms with that, like high and low players, I don't care where you sit. If you can't understand that devs work hard on this game and they got families to go home to, and there is more than just making Destiny for their players in their mind at any given time of the day. Like, if you can't grasp that abusing them this way would make them not want to give us what we want and not want to be transparent, then one, you're crazy. Because you wouldn't want to be talked to that way when you go to a grocery store and you're like at your job and your boss walks in and talks shit to you like that, or a customer walks in and talks to you like that. You'd have the same energy Bungie's got right now. So the idea that Bungie has to be openly transparent about everything, the secret missions, where they're allocating their time, how they're doing this. The community has abused them to a point that I think is sickening, personally.
Yeah, I agree
just
with you.
as a player. But just like I gave the players their medicine, Bungie, we got to have a conversation.
Okay, 100%.
Let's go. Bungie,
let's go. Medicine time.
I understand that the abuse that you guys have taken is 100% unimaginably intolerable. 100%. And I perfectly get where the mindset is with the devs. 100%. But a lot of this abuse comes from how the marketing and how Bungie does business. Like this constant need to like edge the players along with things. Like nothing's ever complete. Everything is always like just enough to keep you interested. Even with this state of the game, it's like, here's all this information, but there'll be more in like 2 weeks. So
they straight up said, "Hey yo, we're about to give you exotic armor tuning and exotic armor stuff next week." I'm like, bruh.
Like, if I had to make a metaphor for it, it's like literally a drug dealer with a bunch of junkies. Like the first hit's always free, but you gotta pay for the next one, right? And that's where it is. It's like, we'll give you a little taste of it, but then knowing how ravenous this community is, like, we'll give them a taste, get them hooked, and then we won't say nothing for months. Nothing. We'll leave them with that sense of like, ooh, I need it, and then be like, yeah, spend some money in Eververse, and we'll get back to you. It's always like legit. It's abusive to the players from a monetary standpoint. It's like I have been Bungie's biggest supporter throughout this podcast episode today, and I'm about to sit here and tell you right now, Eververse needs to be trimmed down. You gotta trim that fat too, Bungie. You gotta trim it. It needs to go. Like your overwhelming support of Eververse instead of Crucible, sickening. 100%. If you're gonna trim the fat with Gambit, you need to trim the fat with Eververse too. And I understand that keeps the lights on, but this is stuff that the player base is really finding to be really abrasive, and it's making them feel unheard. Yeah. And when I started this rant, what did I say? Riots are the voice of the unheard. The player base feels unheard, and they know Bungie listens, so they do.
You're seeing some of your top players, your top PvP players, switching to variety because they feel unheard.
Exactly. So you can't be like, we're not going to talk to you, and we're going to leave you on red, and like it's abusive. So it's abusive for both sides, but one side is clearly more abusive, and that is not okay. But Bungie, definitely, you need to do better about that. Stop with letting this like unfettered need for more information go unchecked. Like, there's no reason why the next season's raid shouldn't be in this state of the game. I would like to know what it is.
You could have left. You didn't have to premiere it. You could have been you could have been had a joke or like a snide comment hey, get your swords ready there's some creeping nanites or go get your gold ready for Leviathan or something just a snide little joke and people would have been like
ooh. I know that
we haven't made jokes for 4 months about fishing in MMOs. And wanting fishing in Destiny for 4 fucking months before season came out. She was dropping hints. It was fucking hot.
Yeah,
exactly. But they know that this is information that keeps people coming back. It's the drug.
It's the drug.
And they're like, we're gonna hold this so close to our chest until the last fucking second, so that you feel like you got something from a lackluster reveal. And I'm like, no, that's abusive. Just like the player base is abusing them, I do feel like they have some abusive ways too, and they need to do away with it. 100%. And that's my piece. I'm off my face.
So let's go ahead and wrap this show up real quick. But just how if you're brand new to Cosmodrome Radio, don't leave just yet. We have closing statements that we end off with. Everyone's gonna get one final note, but don't drop off yet. So, Alchemy, you've been the most quiet motherfucker this whole episode. What is your closing statement for this entire thing?
That next season is, I hope Bungie can actually bring good stuff to the game and actually keep this player base attached to Destiny 2.
All right, fair enough. So here's what I'm gonna leave with it, because I'm gonna let Tower go next. But here's what I'm gonna leave this episode with. I said something on stream yesterday to Dava, and I think it resonates really strong with what's about to happen here.
Ooh, speak on it.
If Bungie in 2 weeks has the gall to put Crota's sword anywhere near that showcase and say Crota's End is the new raid, you've already seen PvP players leave. I wouldn't put it past Day 1 raiders to protest the Day 1 raid. Because even Blackburn in a previous interview said when Kingsfall was getting ready to come out, but they hadn't said what it was going to be. They said they wanted the next one to be one of their bigger raids. Bungie knows Crota's End is lackluster because it was part of Kingsfall. Even if you revamp the whole motherfucking thing and go balls to the wall, make Crota a Lucent Hive, people are going to protest you en masse. You think the PvP crowd going variety is rough. It would very much be you would see people freaking Day 1 raiders protesting. I have a really bad feeling that if you have any unless people see Siva or if they see all shining gold of Leviathan, people are going to protest, and it's gonna get worse than it already is. And I for sure pray to God that you don't do this. Like, if you have to turn the whole ship around in the next month, do it. Because if you put Crota's sword anywhere that showcase, people are gonna be pissed, and it's not gonna be pretty. I'm sorry to say, will I play it because I have a vendetta against Crota because it was the only raid I ever did in D1 because I did it myself? Yes, but will you? And like, there's people like Tower, because Tower said it before that she didn't play D1. She wants to go do that. Yes.
Oh, I played D1. I've never done a D1 raid in D1.
Right. Misspoke. I apologize. There's a lot of people like Tower that will go in and do Crota because they didn't have that experience. So you will see casuals and new lights going into Crota because they haven't done it, but your hardcore player base, the people who race for the belt, you will probably see somebody protest. If you have any, like that will be the nail in the coffin. Like, I think Glad said it, that some people legitimately only play this game now for the day one raid experience. And I genuinely am worried for what's going to happen in 2 weeks. And I firmly agree with Deva that this community is toxic as fuck. Things need to change. And Bungie, if you want to go dark, go dark. But at least leave a sign up when you turn the lights off. Like, y'all did this.
Be back on in February.
Right, like we're going on vacation. We'll be back in 2 weeks. No TWIDs, no patch notes. We'll be back in 2 weeks. And I'll respect it. Or like no TWIDs, no patch notes. We'll see you in February or whatever the final shape is. If you're gonna go dark, leave a note, because if you don't, people are gonna be pissed. Communicate. Give people bare bones communication. Set expectations correctly, or at least to the best of your ability, and pray to God it's not Crota. Tower, what are you leaving people with?
I mean, they already know what it's gonna be. So I mean,
pray to God it's not Crota, because people are gonna be upset if it's Crota.
Yeah. My final is, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Just okay. If you don't like where the game is right now, if you don't like what's going to be happening in the future, nobody's holding a gun to your head. Go play something else. If you just want to come back for the weekly story, do it. Mm-hmm. If you just want to come back for the final shape, well, that's kind of hypocritical, because you already said you were going to be leaving the game anyways. Vote with your money. Don't buy the final shape. Don't be a part of it if you don't like what's going to be happening in the future. That is your right, and it's okay for you to feel that way. It is absolutely valid for you to be upset about the state of the game. Absolutely valid for you to be disappointed or upset at what's going on with, what's coming up in the game. That's absolutely fine. Nobody is forcing you to play this game. But don't be a dick about it. Don't go after the devs on their personal freaking pages with literal death threats. Mm-hmm. Don't go after the devs. Just don't go after the devs at all. Say your piece and deuce. Literally, just get. Because those of us who still love the game and still have an appreciation for the game, despite all of its ups and downs, despite all of our disappointments, we still have that love and passion for the game, that we will keep that game going for years to come, because Bungie has said that there's going to be more after the final shape. It's just the end of the light and dark side. So let us play in peace. And I'm going to end off my last note with a tweet that I saw on Twitter that completely sums up everything that I'm talking about. All right, let me just pull this thing back up.
All right, get it.
At Chase Nick on Twitter said, seeing people's reactions to Destiny 2's state of the game today gives me hope that players will seek therapy and finally put down the game so those of us that do enjoy playing can do so in peace.
Damn.
And I wholeheartedly agree. Full chest.
David, you got anything else you want to leave on? Or we'll leave that last thing you'll find on
no, I got something.
All right.
In the military, I had a sergeant once, and she used to tell me that in the military, with every correction, we always add a sprinkle of love, right? Mm-hmm. And to that, Destiny community. Look, in the military, we have a certain mindset, and I'm pretty sure Tower already has a general glimpse of what I'm about to say. But
oh yeah,
the understanding that people are individuals is a thing, right? But when you're in the sea of screams, you're not just a person, right? Bring it in. Let me teach you the secret, right? It is our job as the community to help our community and to keep our community in line and reasonable, right? Like Panda said earlier, hey, there are plenty of regular, smegular, respectful players that go to Bungie with the idea of I'm going to be respectful and I just need a reply, right? And then they're met with this bland non-response and they don't know why, right? And I understand that you feel like it's just you, but to Bungie, it's like a million of us, all asking questions, all reaching and screaming and fighting for answers at once. So understand that we get more done when we come together and keep each other in line so that Bungie can have clear, concise perspective. So we have to work together. Remember that. We all need to work together and keep each other in a reasonable space, lest we all be punished together or be rewarded together.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna leave it there.
All right. So I want to give a major shout out to everybody that has been in the chat. I was Scarlett, Watson, Scott Free, like Tech Stomper, you were amazing. I'm scrolling back up here looking through everything because I'm a freaking nutcase. There was one other person. Was there one other person? I'm crazy. Was it Dan? Yeah, Dan was in here. Yeah, no. I want to give a major shout out for all y'all being here for our first inaugural live show. Y'all were freaking amazing. We appreciate you being here. If you want to enjoy the full show, we will have it on the VOD on YouTube afterwards. We will also have it on every audio platform. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all those great places. If you haven't joined the Discord, the link is in the chat. The link will be on Twitter for you to join the Discord, be part of the fam, and just let's do better, y'all. And also, Bungie, take the valid criticism seriously, but we all need to do a little bit better. But the community needs to do triple better because goddamn.
Oh my God.
But I mean, we will catch y'all Starside. Peace out.